Hey guys, welcome to the show. First things first, let's jump right into it. We're going to give a big shout out to U.S. ARC fighting for your right and my right to own the reptiles and amphibians that we love. They help mitigate all the uh, bad legislation that's proposed, and they do a really good job. The whole entire team out there, Phil, Vanessa, I think Dan, everybody. So another thing we did have coming up is the Hillsborough Expo. That's next weekend. That's in Portland. Well, more specifically, it's in Hillsborough, Oregon. So we're gonna bring on our two guests. We got host and guest. We got Dave, and then we got Logan.
Why didn't you tell me it was Fun Hat Day?
Well, it was the only bug hat I had. I was just, the lighting in here sucks though. I gotta get like a light ring so you can see me.
Damn, dude, I could have put something fun on.
Well, it's never too late, man. I guess you don't watch the podcast, but that's fine.
Not enough.
No, it's fair. So Logan, so my introduction for you is great guy in the hobby. Love running into you. There was the one time you found me walking around homeless in Pomona and you allowed me to shower in your room. You gave me special oils for my beard, and I just want to thank you again for that, to be honest.
You bet, man. I think you've thanked me at every show I've seen you at since then.
Well,
it's like, hey, it's Dave. And then you go, oh, hey, it's Logan. Thanks again for that shower, man.
It meant a lot. If it wasn't for that shower, I would have had to have flown home smelling the way I smelled. So
nobody wants that.
Thank you. No, long trip back. But so Logan, how about this? In case people don't know you, little intro, kind of guide us through the hobby. What got you in, if you had any mentors early on, and we'll talk along the way.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been, I guess, into reptiles, bugs, any kind of like creepy crawly since I could walk. Like it's just kind of been my thing. So I get trying to think of where it started. Like I was keeping bugs. Like bugs have been like the core of it. Like if you don't follow me on Instagram or YouTube, I'm that bearded bug guy. So yeah, I've been, catching critters and keeping them in jars since I was a kid, and then got a little older, kept doing that, and started getting into like some of the exotic stuff. Like I got a desert hairy scorpion and a rose hair tarantula, and started getting into like the hobby a little bit more. But I still didn't like know anybody in the hobby. It's just kind of like that weird bug kid that had a bunch of weird pets living in jars, and my poor parents, they were supportive. And then it's high school. I had probably half a dozen tarantulas or so. I had a couple tokay geckos. And then I went to college, Washington State University, go Cougs. And then I got my degree in biology, focusing on entomology. So really dove into the bugs. I worked in an entomology lab for like a couple of years in college too, which was fun. We just went out collecting bugs and then taking them back to the lab and identifying them, trying to track like some virus that was affecting aphids. It's pretty cool. And then, in college is when I started really getting more into like the reptiles. Like I went to college, I had tokay geckos. I had a red-tailed boa that, I rescued, actually doing door-to-door sales in Denver, Colorado. That was a weird one. And then college hit and just started kind of diving more and more into it. And then, I don't know, it's kind of just been a slippery slope ever since. And so now I've got, my whole basement is a zoo. Like oh man, I don't even know a total number, hundreds. Lot.
So you moved to Michigan. Did you buy a house and just start building out your basement?
Yeah, I bought the house in about 4 years ago. It's like late summer 2021. And I think within 3 weeks of living here, I built the built-in iguana enclosure and what later turned into the morning gecko room attached to it. It has like a whole built-in pond and waterfall and, big old branches and everything. But yeah, that was like the first project I did when I moved in.
So you're located in Michigan currently?
Yep, middle of nowhere.
And where'd you go to school for entomology?
Washington State University. So I was born and raised in Seattle. And then high school, we moved across the state to the eastern side. And if you don't know Washington, it's super cool because like the Cascade Mountains run down the middle. The left side is like a temperate rainforest, and then the right side is all like prairie desert. So like once you get over that little pass, it's like the opposite side of the country. It's wild. So we moved over there in high school, finished that, and then went to college, Eastern Washington.
And so it's you went to school for entomology. Can you I don't know, I'm sure that's there's a lot of details there, but can you give us a short rundown of how that was like?
Yeah, well, originally I went there like all growing up since I was, I don't know, 10 years old. My dream was I wanted to have my PhD in entomology. Like I think my parents have photos from Halloween of me dressed up as like an entomologist as like 5 or 6 years old. And so I went to school and I was, kind of thinking I'm going to stay at this until I get my PhD. Started working in the lab with a bunch of entomology PhD students and postdocs and realized like this isn't as exciting. I like doing all the fun field work. They're just typing out papers all day, every day. Like that doesn't seem very much fun. So I stopped after my bachelor's, but I guess there's only like one school or maybe two in the US that actually does a bachelor's of entomology. All the other schools do like biology with, what's basically a minor in entomology. And so that's what I did. It was just a bunch of entomology classes. A lot of it was focused towards like agriculture because that's where the money is for the industry. So all the, pest bugs and things like that. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff. I took a honeybee biology class from my professor who was like some big shot head beekeeper in the big beekeeping society kind of thing. He was a big deal. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I learned a lot.
So you ever keep bees?
Not yet. I have a beehive, but I haven't set it up. I don't really have the space to keep it, but I plan on it one day. Like whenever I can get a good sized property, like, oh yeah, I'm going hard at bees.
That's nice. What about in the wintertime? What do you got to do for that? Or they just kind of shut down?
For what? For honeybees?
Well, if you're going to keep them in Michigan.
There's Michigan like acclimated bees. So there's people in Michigan who like breed them that are like meant for Michigan weather. It's pretty cool. That's so nice. Yeah, they just kind of shut down in the winter time.
Wouldn't have thought of that. So you brought up your iguana. I think that was probably your very first post I saw on your Instagram page. It went all the way to the bottom. It was blueberry.
You went on a deep dive.
Well, it was only 200 posts. It really wasn't that far down, but yeah. I just, I'll be honest. I was very impressed with how many people followed you on there, and I kind of wanted to kind of go back a little bit, kind of skim through. But so, was there like a moment with social media that you just had like a video blow up and you just like had a huge following, or was that just gradual?
It was gradual build up for a while, and then there was like one post that just exploded everything, and everything else started snowballing. But right when I first started posting on social media, like one of the first few videos that I posted was like the morning gecko time lapses of them feeding, and like I just took those because I like seeing all the geckos, because you can never see them just standing there, and it just blew up. And yeah, so I started getting some videos, popping off pretty early on, and then like a year ago, it's like a year and a half ago or something, I posted about my baby tarantulas, and that blew up, and then it made like a bunch of other videos blow up, and just kind of, yeah, snowball's been rolling.
It's cool, man. Congrats. Like I said, I don't even fuck around with Instagram anymore. I probably should. I don't even really open it. It's been years, but I would like to try again. I got mine all built up before, and when I lost it, it took the life out of me, and I never want to use it ever again.
I don't blame you. I got really into like I don't know, just kind of like learning the language, learning the analytics, learning, like what works, what doesn't, and studying a bunch of, create like viral big creators and, seeing what they do. And then like my thing too is like, I want my audience to be people that find these animals cool. I mean, my videos are definitely towards like other animal keepers too, but I really try to like tailor it for people who don't keep a bunch of animals, people who don't have, collections and stuff like that, but still find these things, interesting. Just it's a much bigger audience. And also like those are the people like I want to influence. I want to, influence the person that thinks a spider looks kind of cool, but is still scared of it, or thought a snake looked cool on a video and wants to learn more kind of thing. So it's kind of been my thing. But
somebody asked if you had any places you'd recommend for entomology or herpetology, like as far as college goes.
As far as college goes, well, not to be biased, but Washington State University has one of the largest entomology programs in the country, receives the most USDA grants out of any other school for it. So they're killer. Penn State University, they've got a really good entomology program. If you want to go to the cold Great White North, McGill University up in Canada, theirs is like I think it's like one of the top 3 in the world for entomology. And their lab focuses on arachnids too, which is cool. Like not a lot of schools do that. So hopefully that helps.
All right. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm kind of I'm afraid of certain arachnids. Jumping spiders and scorpions don't really bother me, but bigger spiders and tarantulas, I'm not the biggest fan of. And the funny thing is, like, I don't mind millipedes. I think they're cool. Centipedes, I'm mildly afraid of. Centipedes, I kind of find a little interesting. My friend just bought some of the mints, and then I think I don't know if he got a white leg, but it's funny when you open up the lid, you could see them immediately. They knew the lid was no longer there, and they kind of started getting like a lot more active, and they started kind of aiming up to see where they could go. And hurry to put the lid back on because I was like, I don't want this thing coming out.
I've got a healthy respect for centipedes. Like I love spiders, but I don't handle them or anything. I treat them like fish, where you set them up in a really cool enclosure, enjoy it from behind the glass. Like centipedes too, they kind of freak me out. Like I've held one before, and just like, dude, I can hold a giant snake, python, like whatever, but like a centipede, it's something about it, man. Like the legs, they're like crab legs. They can all grab onto you. Their fangs are actually modified legs. So those big, huge fangs are actually their first set of legs that have been modified to be fangs, which means their venom glands are like twice the size that they actually should be, and way stronger than mouth parts. They got a lot of things that are freaky about them.
So they can envenomate you very quickly and very fast. And you'd say, would you think they're? Well, I guess every species is different, but are they more unpredictable?
I think so. I mean, I don't know them that well enough. I know some people like really work on like, I don't know, work with theirs, learn their behavior and stuff. There's some species that are like super chill. I think it's like the Giganteas, the giants, or the Galapagos giants. Those are supposedly pretty chill. And then some of the smaller ones, like still that big. Like the Vietnamese species, I guess, are pretty aggro.
Do you have a favorite like species of like insect, or or like encompassing all invertebrates? What's your favorite?
I don't really know. I don't have one specific favorite. I have a lot of things that that are my favorites for different reasons. Like I love tarantulas, that's just because they're big and cool, and that's the inner, 10-year-old in me that just gets excited when it sees a big, cool looking spider. I've always loved scorpions. Just like their body shape, the fact that they glow under UV light for no freaking reason. Like we still don't know why. I love jumping spiders, their eyesight, their personalities. Mantids are super cool. There's some really weird like aquatic insects, like dragonfly larvae, or nymphs. Like those are freaky. I'm trying to think of what else is cool. Parasitic wasps. Love parasitic wasps. I think those are just super neat. Zombifying spiders and shit. Like that's metal.
Now, do you prefer? Sorry, I'll let you go. But what herping or like insect finding? What do you call insect finding? You entomology?
I think it's still herping.
Oh, it's still herping. That's encompassed under reptile. Okay, all right.
Well, that's the joy of being into like everything though, is because when I go herping, I typically I don't like to go with people because everyone goes and looks for the snakes and the lizards and stuff. Like I flip a board, if there's no snake, skink, whatever, like I'm looking at all the little bugs, like I can appreciate everything. So I'm not cruising through just trying to find the big snakes that are under boards. Like I like going to places and like really getting low and trying to find, the little things.
I see. Yeah.
I bring a black light to a lot of the places I travel to. Like if it's down south, like I'm always out there black light hunting scorpion. That will never get old. I could do that all day, every day and die a happy man.
So is it all scorpions have to glow under a black light?
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some there's people out there who know a lot more about it than me. I haven't read up on it in a while, but it's like a layer in their keratin that for some reason turns UV light into visible light. And so like nobody knows why, because when are scorpions going to get UV light? At night, which is when they're out. So why would they be illuminating themselves at night while they're out and about? Like it's just attracting predators, it's drawing attention, like it goes against everything that natural selection tells us should. And there's a reason for it, we just haven't gotten there yet.
Read this one thing, because I'm into mutations, and what makes mutations is like basically a mutated allele. And what we like in the reptile industry is these, of course, the ones that change pattern and color. And so, it's like certain species have a lot of mutations, like ball pythons. And, I'd like to understand to a degree, like what's being altered and why things look the way they do. And, all reptiles, they have iridophores in their, skin and their scales and their keratin levels. But I was trying to say here,
You're one thing I was reading, ball python.
Well, I was reading this, reading this study on skinks, like ground skinks and 5-line skinks, and some of them have a lot of high iridophore counts, which give them like those real blue tails, like they're really iridescent. The iridescent qualities we see in reptiles are constructed by iridophores and their scales and skin. But there's the one they're showing the skinks that were predated more on birds versus ones that were predated more on snakes. They had different pigment levels. So I wonder if the scorpions, evolved, even though it seems like it's contradicting its like purpose to like its light interaction and its keratin. If there's something with a predator that puts it off from eating it, or it doesn't see it as visibly or something. So that's a bit odd.
There's also like leftover genes, like things that are around that really shouldn't have been, that are just kind of been like dragged on. Like I heard a theory of the reason why humans hiccup. Have you heard this?
No, definitely not.
I could be so wrong, but I love this theory, so I'm going to say it. But basically, like the reason people hiccup is it's a leftover trait from when we were in an amphibious state, because it's our glottis that is like pushing our diaphragm. And apparently like the only other place that happens is metamorphosizing amphibians pushing water off of developing lungs. But like, I haven't heard any theory as like why we actually hiccup. Just that. And
I don't know.
I'm choosing to believe it.
Yeah. Well, if Steve's backstage, he could fact check you, but I think Steve's gone now. So we're gonna say
we should have just let Steve stay. Yeah, Steve is welcome to stay. He's just like, you guys.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, I guess you guys don't need me here. I was like, well, I mean,
I think he was just asked to bring us in and take us out, but I thought about it when we were all up. We could have just had him stay the whole time.
Yeah.
I like Steven. He should have stayed.
Shit.
We should have left Steven.
Yeah. We're already talking about how much we miss Steven.
Well, I didn't know Steven was even going to be here, so I thought it was maybe something you guys arranged. And then seeing that Logan knows Steven and he likes him, and I was like, oh yeah, why not? I don't know. I would have figured Steven had something to do. Maybe it's Friday night. He's not really supposed to be on a podcast, so I was like, don't want to obligate him. But yeah, if you didn't have anything going on, Steven, if you're around, jump in.
Steven has also used my hotel shower
Well, we'll see. But okay, so I had this question. So there aren't really any bug mutations, right? Like there's something about a bug that it cannot ever have a mutation, I was told. As in a color mutation.
There's probably a case. Like one of the first things I learned in college was entomology. Like there's so many cases that you can never say there's no rules. So like in order to be one of the rules in order to be an insect is you have to have two sets of wings. Like that's one of the rules. So every insect has two sets of wings. Sometimes it's like a beetle where the first set of wings have adapted to be like the shell, or a fly where the secondary wings are like vestigial. So now they're just little white nubs. But like that's one of the characteristics. But there's still things that are considered insects that like have no wings or one set or something. So like there is just way too many species, way too many things out there for us to like put any hard rules on insects, or I guess bugs as a whole.
I was once told by somebody that a tomato was a fruit.
I'm pretty sure it is.
You sure? I always thought it's a vegetable.
No, I'm pretty sure I learned that when I was like 12.
Yeah, that's an odd one. That's an odd one because I've seen people like argue that one, and some people made some good points as to like why it's a fruit, but it's also they're related to potatoes. They're both in the deadly nightshade family, and you can actually graft them, and you can make a plant that grows tomatoes on top and potatoes on the bottom. Yeah. So I don't know. To me, they seem more like a vegetable.
Middle, buddy.
You can't argue with Bob the tomato.
Yeah, it's on Veggie Tales. Look at
that. Just saying, they
did their research.
All right, so mutations are maybe possible because there was actually a post in Missouri where there was a essentially an annuary or axanthic monarch butterfly they posted a couple days ago. I don't know if you saw that going around on Facebook.
No, but I've seen the like the dichromatic where it's like male and female. Have you seen those? Where it's like the left side of the butterfly is the male like coloration, and then the right side is the female. And there's a special word for it because it happens.
Is it a chimera? It sounds like a chimera.
Maybe that sounds familiar, but something like that where the animal is expressing like both sexes of, or both, both phenotypes of the sexes or something like that.
Is it unisex?
No.
Well, if it's split male and female, that happens with that happens in that case where you have a chimera. You have two separate fertilized eggs that fuse together, so they have DNA from both. So a male fertilized, would be diploid. So you could have a diploid of both, and they fuse together and make one animal there. So it's the reverse of twins, where identical twins where they split up. Mm-hmm. But so I'm thinking that's what it would be. I'd imagine it'd be a chimera. If it's half male, half female, I think that's, unless the insects, anything with their reproduction and meiosis works differently, but I don't think it does. So it should be a chimera.
I don't know if he was looking for that. You know what my favorite thing about these podcasts are? When one of us talks and then when that person finishes, we don't acknowledge that anybody stopped talking yet. There's always a little bit of a pause.
Gynandromorph.
Yep, there it was.
A dynandromorph. All right.
Gynandro. Yeah. That's cool.
So I guess we're just going to keep talking about bugs because, I think this is something we've committed to it when we...
Oh, dude, I could talk about bugs all day. What You're opening a can of worms.
What is the bug, or is it a parasite that uses another bug, I think like a grasshopper as a host, and then it makes it kill itself by jumping in water and the parasite comes out?
The horsehair worm.
Horsehair worm? Okay, go on.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, they it's very common in mantids. Like I've seen a number of videos of it in mantids, but yeah, basically the mantis is the intermediate host. So, the cyst or the first stage gets into the mantis, grows up, they attack like the nervous system, so it's basically controlling the the mantis. So I guess whatever other insect it is. Yeah, and then when the worm is ready to move on and go to its, I think it's like the tertiary host or something. Yeah, it causes the bug to go drown itself. That way it could leave easily. It's freaky.
That's kind of wild. I did see a video on Facebook recently where it was a mantis and they showed it like in water and it slowly started like threading out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and it just keeps on going and going and going. It's wild. I also took a parasitology class in college. So if you ever want to be terrified of any body of fresh water or fruit and veggies ever again, take one of those classes.
Well, you want to scare us a little bit?
No.
What's the one thing you remember the most about that class?
Trying to remember. It's been a while. The professor was like super into malaria. So I learned a bunch about malaria and mosquitoes. Here's a fun fact I remember, that malaria and the mosquitoes going, spreading it and stuff is the only, I'm going to butcher remembering this. It's like the only point of natural selection for humans, because they're targeting specific blood types, that it's starting to bottleneck the blood type genetic diversity, as, a species kind of thing.
Okay, so basically, people that are more susceptible to malaria are getting killed by it, and there's less and less people with that blood type.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, malaria is the mosquitoes. Like, that's the most dangerous animal in the world as far as killing humans, isn't it? I mean, aside from other humans, maybe.
Yeah,
well,
like the deadliest animal or something.
Yeah. How many? Yeah. You know how many people get killed a year by mosquitoes? I think it's like over like 1 million, from what I believe.
I don't know.
I did see in Missouri there was 3 cases, or there was 20 plus cases of West Nile recently, and 3 people died.
Yeah, there was West Nile in Ohio like a little while ago. I think there's still cases here and there. Yeah, so 700,000 to 1 million deaths per year annually caused by mosquitoes.
This might be early news, but I thought I saw there's something new going on in China related to mosquitoes that's killing people.
Really? You think they'd use CRISPR DNA? They're trying to, utilize that one more to make people immune to certain diseases. Maybe they can do that with.
I think it was AIDS, but it made the kids smarter.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch that CRISPR documentary on Netflix?
I know what it is, but I didn't watch the documentary.
It's pretty solid. I think one of the opening scenes is a guy putting jellyfish into his dogs and making the sperm glow. And he was talking about, I think he was a high school dropout. Might have just got his GED, but he's killing it.
Nice. Here's another, you want another malaria fun fact?
Keep them coming.
All right. So there's 5 species of malaria that can affect people, but there's over 200 species of malaria like in the world that we know about. And for the longest time, there was only 4 species until people started encroaching into macaque monkey territory. And then the species of malaria that was attacking or like targeting macaques switched and started targeting people. And so then it became 5 species, but there's still like 200 plus out there. So
yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
So theoretically, the more people spread, the more malarias there's going to be.
Yeah,
and it's a type of bacteria, actually, or is it a parasite? No, it's a parasite.
So neither of us know how to really work this whole podcast thing, so we just hold our phones up when we want to show information. So if you got anything you want to show us,
just hold it up.
Man. Feel free. Don't question it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Are you breeding like isopods?
Not isopods. I did for a while. I kind of got into the isopods back when they were, popular in 2021 to 2023. I still have some colonies. They've been kind of crashing out. I've got a bunch still in like terrariums and stuff, so I'm not like short of them, but I kind of stepped back from keeping them.
has the craze back? Are they not as popular as they were a few years ago?
Nope.
Really? Is it maybe just because more people are doing it?
Yeah, I mean, just the demand has died. Like for a while, it was just like the next Pokemon. Got to catch them all. You could keep 20 of them, different species easily. Couldn't get enough. Like whatever you had for sale would sell. And then now everyone's just kind of tired of them, I think. Yeah, there's still plenty of people who are going hard at it and working with some really unique species, but I don't know. I've never been one to spend hundreds of dollars on 5 tiny isopods.
I always said it was a really cool flex for the community to say how much money you spent on what eats your shit for you. Those little ones with horns. I don't know if it was. I think it was Babu one show. He came over and they were like, I want to say they were like $300 to $600 a piece. Like those little horny looking ones. Yeah,
the spiky ones.
That's it. Madness, man, madness. And
Crystal has those.
Does she really?
Yeah, she has those. And then you know what? The ones that are the only one I've seen that seems to be pretty hot right now are the what are they? The ember bees. Ember bees.
Ember bees?
Because they're still expensive. There's few of them. Anytime like there's been a colony though for like $250, $300, there's 10 of them, they sell out. So it's because they're limited. It's kind of like it's a different species, and it looks like they can actually selectively line breed them. They have different pigment because certain people have ones that look a little different, and even the isopods that Crystal has, she's like, oh well, they are finding mutations in those. It looks like there's ones that are albino and at least hypomelanistic. And so she actually has quite the collection of isopods. They're really easy to care for. I mean, I don't know. She feeds them. She goes around, pokes them around with like a stick, like once every 5 days, gives them water, and they seem to be thriving.
They're super fun if you're into genetics because like there's some species that has a whole bunch of different genes to it, and it's quick turnaround. So you find albino here, put them together in half a year. You'll have a couple clutches of babies kind of thing. So you're not waiting around to see what the outcome's going to be. You can just kind of play around. A few months later, you already are seeing the rewards. Like the zebras. Do you remember those? Armadillidium, what is it? Maculatum, the zebra isopods.
She might have. I don't know. There's so many isopods. She might have those. They sound familiar.
There's I want to say 15 to 20 different morphs of zebra isopod. Tons of different colors, solid lines, dotted lines, just it's crazy.
If she was in here, I don't think Crystal's in here. She should be responding if she was, but this is a podcast for her since she knows about isopods and everything.
You always call her in for the isopod section, but so isopods. So do you know what's the gentleman's name that owns isopod.com and isopods.com?
I don't know.
I should know this because I talk to him all the time, and in this moment I have a blank, but he was talking about traveling overseas, collecting them in the wild, finding new species or new types that no one's ever seen before. He sounded like he had the life for a while there.
Yeah. I mean, until legislation catches up.
Yeah, what is up with that? Are we allowed to talk about that?
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but that was one of the reasons why they got so popular so quick is because there was no real legislation put in place for them. There was I don't think there was any species marked on CITES or any CITES. So yeah, it was pretty easy just to import super rare species that were only found in one cave kind of thing.
Yeah. So is that a bad thing? Would you consider that a bad thing, not being regulated?
I mean, I don't know enough about the ecology of these species. I just want it to be done responsibly because, some of these species are so isolated. There's literally tons of them that are found only in one specific cave or in a specific valley or, and so if someone goes out and they hear that this isopod is selling for $200 on the pet trade, they can go out and they could, flip all the rocks and clear them out in a matter of days.
No, you're right.
That's also just kind of speculation. I'm sure there's plenty of people who do it responsibly. That's just kind of where I first think.
I understand that. And no regulation means we get whatever we want. But like you said, without regulation, it doesn't keep things in check, especially people. I'm sure it's going to slow down soon. I mean, I've heard people talk about how they're kind of all illegal. Is that saying it the right way?
It's that's the thing, is it's messy. Like there's instances where they're all legal. There's instances where only, one species is legal in one state. Like, I don't know. And I think there's only like a couple people assigned to it from like Fish and Wildlife. So it's moving really slow.
Yeah, if there's only one person, I can imagine. And it's like, because I know you can't import like beetles anymore. Is that right? Is that all species of beetles? I know like the giant beetles, you're not really, I don't think you're allowed to.
Well, I think the fear is the soil that it's being imported in. Because a lot of those beetles, they're being shipped around as pupa. They're in a pupa for 12 months out of the year. It's super easy just to ship them in a cup of dirt. But everyone's worried about the dirt it's being shipped in. Same reason like importing plants, they all have to be dry rooted, wrapped in clear plastic, no dirt of any kind, no substrate of any kind. So they're just worried about pests coming in and eating all of our crops.
So for somebody who wants to keep bugs, but they want one that's going to live more than a few years, is there anything that you can work with that has a long lifespan?
Tarantulas. Yeah, there's species like the females live, man, there's some that live over 30, 40 years. Like it's insane. Like males, they don't live that long. It's, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. But yeah, females, typically it's like 15 plus years.
Are they reproducing their entire lifetime, or do they kind of age out like other species?
No, once they're mature, they can, reproduce regularly. Like I know some breeders who, they have females that have been breeding every year for the last 15 years kind of thing. I also know a lot of people kind of take breaks and, let them kind of make sure they recuperate, but that's every animal, whatever you're breeding kind of thing.
Tight. What the fuck's I gonna say? So not that I hit a wall. I was gonna ask you about like enclosure setup and things like that. When you're building, like, when did you get into the whole bioactive thing?
I got into bioactive before I even knew it was bioactive. Like back when I was in like high school and stuff, I was getting just aquariums from Craigslist or garage sales or something, and I just wanted to make it look more natural. So I was putting dirt in it. I was putting live plants. This is just when isopods were starting to become a thing too. So like back then you could only get like Spanish orange, dwarf white, dwarf purple. So I started getting those in, putting them in. And yeah, I just have always been into the living, I don't know, enclosure aspect of it and like building it to kind of look like a mini scene out of a bigger picture, like a forest or something, like the diorama kind of style. But it's been a while.
That's good. Now, not to take away from you, but I always forget the gentleman's name. Ant Canada, or is that right?
Mikey. Yep, Mikey Bustos.
No, extremely impressive. Just really something I think we would all want if we could have it. But man, what an undertaking!
Oh my God, yeah. I've talked to him a couple times at like the Animal Con events, and it's insane. Like his house sounds like insane, but also like so much work.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't watched a ton of his videos, but I enjoy the educational side. I think he's really easy to listen to. I think he's very smart. I think he knows how to engage with people. He's somebody we thought about maybe talking to in the future if the time ever popped up. But no, like I said, I like his shtick. I think it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I heard he captivates the entire crowd at Animal Con every time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like most of the people there just wanted to hear him talk.
Yeah, that's fair. That's cool. You would you ever head up there to visit the guy?
Oh, I mean, he's in the Philippines now, but I would still go visit him in the Philippines.
Seriously. So did he just restart his operation when he got there, or did he take stuff with him?
I'm not sure. Because I know he started in Canada. I mean, I would guess he restarted. Like, I don't know how easy it would be to bring ant colonies from Canada to the Philippines. But it sounds like he's got most of the stuff like just native there. Like he's found new species in his backyard, basically.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Philippines has a tropical climate. I know it's hard. Well, it's not that hard, but it's definitely a bit difficult to export reptiles there because they need a health certificate. And in order to get the health certificate, I mean, you just need to, you usually have a good relationship with a vet, or even a vet that you may not have one with if they can do one. You get a health inspection, but then you have to send them the paperwork first, and then they get it, and then they have to show it in order to apply for an agriculture import permit. And then once they have that, then you have to get the health certificate amended because it's been so long, it's been expired. Then you can finally do the export. So I don't know if there's anything like that. Like I'd imagine for insects, it's going to be different. But I don't know if it's the same or not.
Sounds like
then when they import reptiles too, you can't import to resell. You're not supposed to. Anything you import, you're supposed to be keeping as breeding stock, and then you could sell the offspring.
Interesting.
All right, I keep getting the chat's been going nuts. That's why I'm kind of distracted here, and they keep sending payments for me to do things, to change my hat style or to pretend like I'm hitting a fly or a bunch of other stuff. We're up to $10 now. They're wanting me to do stuff. I don't even know where this money's going,
man. I have not seen any swatting.
Well, I swatted the microphone.
Are there questions coming in, or are they just asking you about your hat?
Mostly just asking me to do stuff or harassing me. People have been asking goofy questions about worms, but that's it.
Nice.
Do you want to repeat the worm question?
It's an inside joke, but it's about how like worms are more active at night in like sushi, like parasitic worms. And I think that's a myth, but anyway, it's not even really a question.
Okay. So, let's see. So reptilian related. What kind of goals you got coming up, man? Like, are you you got what you want? You gonna expand into some new things?
I've got species that I still really want to keep one day. I've just been tapped out on space. Like I don't live in a very big house. So my basement, it didn't take long to fill it with enclosures. Yeah, there's some stuff I still want to keep, but I'm also really happy and content with the collection that I have right now. And there's still plenty of things down there that I've been growing up, to breed soon, or things that I recently got that are, still in quarantine that I'm excited to like pair up and build a big enclosure for, and babies that just hatched and are growing up. And so I'm keeping busy. So I haven't really been thinking about like new things as much. Actually, this last Tinley last weekend was the first one that I didn't come home with any animal in a very long time.
I'm pretty good at willpower. I went there looking for some male children's pythons that were breeder size. I didn't find a single one in the entire building.
At all, or adults?
Nothing ready to breed. There were some at the show, of course, but I've got I've talked about it before. I bought a 1.3 and it ended up being a 0.4. And that's why I've been unsuccessful, because I was too trusting. I didn't double check the sex of my animals. Now I really want to see these little pythons. I need to find a male.
You'll find one eventually.
I'm sure, but the females look like they're ready like tomorrow. And the whole process of bringing a new male in, quarantine, and everything else like you're talking, I'm probably going to miss an entire season again.
Yeah.
It's a maybe.
So you have the bioactives. What species are you keeping in the bioactives? I know you have the warning geckos. What other species do you keep in these bioactives?
There's not many in true bioactives. Like there's a difference, I think, just between like bioactive and naturalistic. So a lot of my snakes are kept in like naturalistic, so they have live plants and misting systems and cork hides and everything, so it looks very real, but there's no cleanup crew that can like keep up with them. So I'm still occasionally, scooping poops out and cleaning it here and there. But I've got my pair of Vietnamese blue beauties. They're in a 8-foot by 4-foot by 7-foot grow tent. And then I built them like a 40-gallon pond. And then there's a bunch of live plants and big branches and cork tubes and hides and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. UV.
How many blue beauties do you have?
I have 2 adults, and then I have their first clutch of babies that are about a month old right now. And there's 9 of them.
Yeah, I reshared that clutch because I seen that you had the blue beauties. I always really liked those. That's a really cool colobrid. And
they're so cool.
They're
so
big. Yeah, you don't see a lot of them either, which is kind of cool that you don't see them being like overproduced. But that's a species that I could see that. That's cool that you have them in grow tents.
They
that's
use
definitely
all the space too.
I believe it. Yeah, they seem like they're pretty active, or they like to climb and sprawl out. I've seen pictures of them where they're kind of like on, let's say, a branch, and they're kind of like not completely coiled, but have like they're kind of like sitting like a black rat snake. Their body's like half bent, and they kind of have their tail wrapped around.
Yeah, or they'll do that like crooked spine kind of basking.
Yes, yeah,
basking. Yeah, they get big too. Like I've noticed, because I've had my male for about little over 8 years now. And when I got him, like I looked for a female, regularly, never found one. No one had them. This before Morph Market, before I knew about, fauna classifieds or anything. And now it's like you see them at every show pretty much. But I think a lot of people still haven't really realized how big they get. My male is pushing 11 feet right now.
Wow, really?
Yep. And
wow.
There's males that so like when they first started getting imported in the late 90s, there were 2 males that came in. One was 12 and a half feet. One was a little over 14 feet. And they were alive up until like within the last few years, basically. And so they're arguably the second longest colubrid in the world, if not the first.
I didn't know that. I thought that they maxed out at like 8 or 9. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're big. Like my female is about, I think, 8 feet, maybe 9 feet, getting bigger. And then, the male is he's big and still just growing. And he puts out picture perfect sheds. The sheds are like 12 and a half feet long. Every single scale intact, eye caps, the lips, like it's a perfect tube. It's crazy.
What are you feeding your big blue beauties?
A lot of smaller things. So I think in the wild, they're kind of known as nest raiders. The other thing is we don't know shit about them in the wild yet until I get there. And so everyone thinks they're nest raiders. So I feed them a lot of smaller things. So I give them like maybe 4 weaned rats a week with a couple like chicks or quail or something in there. But they don't like big food is the thing. They just want lots of smaller things.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. Those are you want to do. Do you think that's one of your favorite species of snakes then? You sound like you really enjoy these, especially if you want to go out and research them.
Yep, 100%. Hands down.
That's cool.
I could talk about them all day. They are awesome. I got my male 8 years ago as a baby. Got my female 4 years ago. Waited for her to get 4 years old so I could breed. So after 8 years, I finally have babies from them. And they're just super curious, super pretty, like 4 patterns going down their body with like a slate blue color. They're super active, really just inquisitive. Like they always just want to watch and know what's going on. But also like really misunderstood. Everybody thinks of them as like these big, sassy, angry snakes. But like my big male, he hasn't tried to strike at me in a while. Like I can pretty regularly, I open up the tent and I just put my hand like right in front of his face and he just sniffs it, doesn't do anything. Like, they're smarter than people think.
So that's a pretty cool setup. Dave, what were you gonna say?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, for like you personally, like, you know, for who you are in the hobby, like, would you ever want like a bunch of blue beauties, or are you just very content having a very awesome pair?
I would have more. Yeah, if I had the space. The thing is, like, I I would even put them in something bigger than what they're in now. Like, if I could, I would put a pair or a trio in like a 12 by 12 room, just decked out, vines everywhere, trees everywhere, waterfall. Um, but yeah, I would have more for sure. I like them. They're cool.
Are you any? I know you said that it's like limited to almost like none, but field research. What has been done with them that you're aware of?
I haven't yet to found any real field research done. Um, I think blue beauties were only technically classified in like, what was it, like 2012 or something like that. So the beauty snake complex is Orthriophis tenarius, and there's like, I want to say like 12 or 13 different species in there. But like, I also have a pair of Chinese beauty snakes. They are 4.5 feet long, super skittish. Just they're like a cracked out corn snake, but technically they're the same species as my 10+ foot chill blue beauty snake.
Yeah, so there's no studying being done with them whatsoever. Then it seems
No.
like there's
like,
because that taxonomy doesn't really check out.
Yeah, and they've bounced things around in there so much, but haven't done any research into like the species itself. And like blue beauties, like if you go on iNaturalist and you look up Vietnamese blue beauty snake or Orthriophis tenarius calicianus, there is maybe a few like locations or like actual what's it called when documentations, I guess, of them. But if you start looking through just the beauty snake complex, you'll start finding them in there just being marked as other things. And like a lot of people have been going off of a care sheet that's been written long ago that I don't even think is true. Like people say that they live at the mouth of caves. And it's like, okay, sure they do, because you found one there once, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's real precise. That's real precise habitat. So I'm sure they're more widespread than that.
And for a species this big, this colorful, this impressive, like, how do we not know more about this? This is a 10, 12-foot blue multi-patterned snake that's going through the trees and ground of Vietnam. Like, how do we not go over there? How have we not gone over there and like studied it? Like, I want to. I'm going to soon.
I wonder if there's anything on iNaturalist, like any sightings. If there's like some, things are published on iNaturalist a decent bit. Like, I was looking at beaded lizards one time because I was curious, and there's actually quite a few sightings. And then the one time I forget how or why I even did this, but I was looking at Texas horned lizards, and then spanned out and seeing that there's actually isolated populations that have been introduced into South Carolina, and they're thriving on the ants there. And there's a few little isolated populations along the coast of South Carolina. I wonder if there's many blue beauty. I'm going to look them up now, and I'm kind of curious. I'm going to look at iNaturalist to see if there's any sightings that are people published.
So you said that they were classified in 2012?
I think so. Somewhere around then.
Do you know when they were discovered, though?
Not off the top of my head.
And we've had them in the hobby for a while, right?
Yeah, they first got imported in like 96.
Okay. Do you have breeders you'd recommend in the hobby for things like this?
Zirkles.
Okay.
Yeah. They're my go-to for anything like colubrid. Them, like they're just like OG colubrid people. They got like their blue beauty they got in 96. That was the like 12.5-foot one. That only like passed away a few years ago. But yeah, they know like everything. Or metazotics, like they're really into colubrids, and you guys probably know CCR. Yeah. So they're
Colubrid and Colubroid podcast. Yeah, they're great.
Yep, love those guys. They know a ton. Like, and they're super. They got their feet into the hobby pretty deep.
Really cool.
I just talked to Zirkles. They were at the Tinley show.
Yeah,
they're cool.
I had Rob and April on here a while, but I think it was before you kind of started doing this, Junior. I wouldn't mind having them. Amy, I said Amy, not April. I don't know why I said April. But
Yeah, Amy. Yeah,
I'd like to have them back on
yeah,
again
Amy
at
and
some
Rob.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some iNaturalist sightings.
Mm-hmm. They're also just like they're hard to distinguish sometimes. Like the whole complex of beauty snakes between like there's the Grabowskis, there's the blue beauties, the Chinese beauties, and so like you really have to like dig into it and like learn how to tell them apart kind of thing because it's messy. Like that whole all of rat snake taxonomy is just messy.
I feel like it still has a lot more changes to be made. It seems like it's always changing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and here's all the sightings in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but I mean, looks pretty widespread. And over here, it looks more montane, and they're finding a lot of them. I mean, a lot of Vietnam. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of montane regions here, and they're finding them up.
From what I've heard, the blue beauties are the hardest subspecies to find in the wild. Like where I have a friend who's friends with or watch Rupert's Reptiles on YouTube. He does a lot of like Asian snake herping and stuff. But yeah, my friend reached out to him about it and he's like, "Oh yeah, good luck. Like that's the hardest one to find. Good luck." So it makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah. And then too is finding somebody or some locals or somebody that knows where they do occur or have found them and everything. Because yeah, some species are pretty reclusive, tough to find, and generally, if you know somebody that has like it's in the area that's found them before, like even if I go look for like plains hognose snakes or even like Mexican hognose snakes, that's a very difficult species to find. You have a lot better success when you of course have somebody that knows where they're at and they can show you, oh, this is the habitat you can find them in. But I don't know, that's going to be pretty tough in Vietnam. I don't know how many herpers are over there.
Not as many as you think. And like my thing too is like I want to find one and I want to follow it for like 3 days straight. Like I'm not there to catch it. Like sure, maybe at the end take a photo with it, but like I want to just follow it, document everything it's doing, follow the UV, the temperature, the wind, just behaviors, and just learn what they do. What do they eat? What do they do during the day kind of thing? Do they bask? Are they in caves? Or
Now, the Vietnamese blue beauties, is that the only snake species you have? What other if you have any other snakes, which one are those?
So I've got the blue beauties. I've got the pair of Chinese beauties. I've got a rhino rat snake. I've got a 100-flower rat snake, the Elape mollendorfi. Let's see. We've got a few Sonoran not sand boas. I always call them sand boas because they're like the American version of a sand boa. They're Sonoran like shovel nose snakes.
Oh yeah. And those are like insectivorous too, aren't they?
Yeah, those things are so cute. They're like the only thing living in our living room just because they're derpy and adorable. So mostly just Asian rat snakes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed a trend. You like the old world rat snakes, it seems like.
It's also just works well for my climate. Like I keep everything in my basement. I maybe have a handful of heat lights down there, the iguana, the gator, a couple of geckos, stuff like that. But all of the snakes are just room temp. Like they have LEDs in them. Some of them have like the blue beauty tent. I have like a little 35-watt basking bulb, and I just have that on for, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. kind of thing. But just so they have options. But yeah, they just thrive in room temp, and it works for me because I live in a 100-year-old house and don't want to pay that extra electricity bill.
That's fair. So I remember, and you might remember, I think it was Dave Kaufman's first herper video. I think he sat down with Chad Brown and they were talking old world rat snakes. He was starting to accumulate a bit of a collection of them back then. I think this was, of course, like just before they lost the collection. But yeah, no, I was really bummed out about that because he was one guy that, again, was bringing in a lot of stuff. He seemed very well educated in it. And then it just abruptly ended.
Yeah.
But
There's a lot of cool ones over there.
Yeah, he referred to somebody over there that wrote most of the literature on that kind of stuff. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Schultz or
maybe.
um,
I don't vaguely remember. So whatever you say right now, I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
I just heard the video. He talks about visiting the guy's house when he was over there. I believe he was an author, and they were talking about the species. But I got to do my homework before I just drop.
I know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm looking at your beauty setups. They're really nice. So this thing, you could pretty much walk into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I plan on doing I've had this idea for a while, but like one of my, for a YouTube video, to spend the night in there with them. Like bring in a sleeping bag, you know, piss jug, just
see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. Like that's the thing is everyone thinks they're so mean, but like 95% of the time, like they're just curious. They just, you know, if you move around quick, all of a sudden they're just on the defensive, but they're just super curious snakes that just kind of look menacing. But yeah, I think it'd be a fun project to kind of just show people like, look, they're giant snakes that people think are scary, but I'm going to spend the night in here with them and show you like they're not. And also it's funny and, you know, a little entertainment, a little education.
Didn't Jay Brewer try that with the retics that one time where he was trying to find another social media influencer to come over and spend like a day or two in that large enclosure?
I don't know. I only pay attention to real reptile people.
That's fair. So the tent option. So the tent thing is awesome. The grow tents. I think a buddy of mine must be like a decade ago in North Carolina was breeding rats, and I don't think he was allowed to even have rats in his apartment. And he had them set up in a grow tent. I thought that was awesome, but
they didn't chew out.
What was that?
The rats didn't chew out of the grow tent?
Well, no, he had them in rack systems in the grow tent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a rat like loose in a grow tent. What do you give it? 2 days before it's out of it?
Oh, if
hours
less.
Yeah, maybe like 24 hours.
Yeah, like that's the thing about grow tents. Like I love them. I think they're great. You can get big ones for cheap. Like that 8x7, 8 by whatever one that the Blue Beauties are in is like $300. And I can set it up in an hour, tear it down if I need to. Like you can move them. Like they're great. But like I would be worried about putting in like a big restrictor or like a monitor or tegu or anything with like sharp claws, just because like they're not really meant for reptiles. And so like the netting for the ventilation, like it's not that tough of netting. So like it works great for big colubrids. I mean, you could probably put in like a retic in there, like a super dwarf retic would be pretty awesome in there. But
yeah, see your 100 flower setup.
Yeah,
you got pretty cool stuff. I like your setups. The Blue Beauties setup's pretty neat, and it's cool to talk to somebody at breeding them, keeping them in a nice grow tent setup.
I've bred them once, and all I did was I put them together, and they were breeding within the first like 5 minutes, and then next thing I know, I check on the female, there's eggs. So like I really didn't do anything.
Yeah, I seen you put them together. I seen the male courting the female, following her right away.
It was cool. Yeah, that dude's been for the last, because he's like 8 years old. He's been ready to breed for a while. And every spring for the last few years, he just gets just really antsy. And this last spring, he was like, just every time I would open the door, he would be trying to make his way out and like explore. And I think he could smell the female too, because he would just try to go in that direction of her little grow tent. But yeah, he was just super ornery. And then, yeah, put the female in right away, bred, and he's just been chill ever since.
Would he go off feed sometimes when he is antsy at those moments every year in the spring?
No, he still eats. Yeah,
he's still staying food.
Yeah, he didn't eat when he'd be like agitated. So like before the grow tent, the morning gecko room was actually meant for him. And so I built it out, put him in there. He lived with morning geckos, like a handful. And so I moved them in too, and they just kind of took over. But in between that room, morning gecko, blue beauty room, because it got too hot. Like the one of the walls is the exterior wall of the basement that the sun like directly hits. So in the summertime, it would get too hot, too dry. He got a respiratory infection. So I pulled him out of there. And for like, I think it was like a month or so, I just kept him in like a 4x2. That way he could give him his shots, build his new enclosure. But he was just pissed. Every time I would walk by the door, striking at the glass, wouldn't eat. And then as soon as I moved him into like the grow tent, you could just see like, you work with enough snakes to know the difference between like an agitated snake and a relaxed snake. Because like as soon as I moved him in that grow tent, it's like just he relaxed, and all of a sudden he's looking like he's curious and not reactive kind of thing, and just like mellowed way out, ate right away, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that, because like sometimes when the male hog knows want to breed, they'll go off food. That can actually be an indicator that males want to breed, is them just refusing meals. And then once you breed them, generally most of them go right back on food right away. Or like I've had some where they don't want to eat for the majority of the season, and as soon as the season's they've bred enough females, then they start eating. But yeah, it's interesting that to continue to eat, but you did notice that behavior, having them in that room where it's too warm. And yeah, I definitely noticed that like hognose snakes. Sometimes even babies, if I have them too big of a setup at first, sometimes they don't seem to do as well. Or even if it's too small of an enclosure, sometimes you see them digging a lot and they'll wear down their rostral scale, so you have to move them or adjust their setup. More hides, humid hides can be really good. So yeah, there's always those things to look for when you're watching your animal's behavior.
Yep. How you doing over there, Dave?
Me, I'm great. I just hanging out. No, well, yeah, I do. I told you, I never really have any plans for these kinds of things. I like just kind of like grinding through. So like if you were going to do any research of blue beauties, you would have to get a grant or something for that, or would that just be research for you?
That would just be me.
That's even better.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been kind of working up to with like my social media, is like I would love it if, social media could fund projects like that, and I could do things like that once or twice a year of going out in the field and just doing these deep dive expeditions just to learn more about like the natural behaviors of species that we keep in the pet trade, but maybe I've just been running off of the same info for a while, and now we've got technology we can use in our favor to like learn a lot more about these animals.
That'd be great for content too, documenting a trip to Vietnam, herping for blue beauties, and I'm sure you're gonna find a whole lot of other species out there too.
Oh, that's the idea.
Yeah. As a herper too, there's one you must like beetles a lot. I feel like that's one when I'm out like herping. If I do see a insect that I really appreciate, it's usually beetles. I think beetles are pretty cool.
Have you ever done the like the black light sheets at night?
Oh, somebody did that in my yard. But they got a lot of moths. My friend Tim, he works in animal rehabilitation. So he actually helps me part-time. So he works animal rehab. Mainly he works with birds, waterfowl, birds of prey, and then songbirds, whatever. And then they do other species too, like raccoons, possums, anything that comes in injured deer. And, so he knows like a little bit of everybody. Everybody he knows is pretty much in some type of animal or wildlife. So he has friends in the DNR. But there's one guy, because like when I bought my place, it actually came with, this is zone commercial residential. And my property runs pretty far back, and there's woods and there's a big field, and they're cutting a lot of it. And I'm really big on like no pesticides or anything like that. And I cut the bare minimum of grass to not get in trouble with the fucking city. So I just I just don't want to get written up, because they already warned me one time. And so I put boards back there and stuff
every summer.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah.
So I
leave all of my native plants to get overgrown.
Yeah, right. So it's cool. And I just mow around the edge of my property, or I have the guys mow around. And then anyway, my friend Tim was like, yeah, my friend likes putting up the sheets, whatever you called it. You put up the sheets and you put a bunch of lights at night. And he found, I know that guy got I'm sure it's pretty common to do this. He got a couple new species that he'd never seen before. But when you're looking at moths and beetles and everything else, I'm sure you're coming across a bunch of different. You're probably like thousands of species of insects. So I remember I went out there. I was actually packing for an expo, and I told him he could come over whenever. And so he came over, and he had the sheets out. And I stopped out there for a little bit. It's pretty neat. He had a bunch of different moths, teeny ones, big ones, all kinds of different bugs.
It's pretty fun. And yeah, just like if you have the property to do it, like just set it up, go to your thing, check on it in an hour or two. I've done it once in Ecuador. That's where I first learned how to do it. And what I was told was if you leave it up long enough in the jungle, you first attract all the moths and the beetles and all those bugs, but then the bugs attract all the frogs and the toads. And then eventually it attracts like tarantulas and other things. So if you leave it up all night, you come back, there's like frogs at the bottom and giant wandering spiders, and just everything is out because of it.
That's pretty cool. When were you in Ecuador? When was that?
I went in 2014, so it's been a while. But I went.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool. I went with National Geographic.
Amazing.
Yeah, for like 3 weeks in Ecuador and then the Galapagos Islands for a while too. They do like these student expeditions. And so basically it's mostly just rich kids who get sent on these expeditions that, $10,000, 3 weeks here, trip to Australia, trip here. And like you go with Nat Geo, like biologists and photographers, and some are focused on photography, some wildlife conservation. And so that's what I did. But I, not a rich kid. So I applied for a scholarship that they had, and they called me and they gave me a full ride scholarship. So they said they're going to pay for the entire thing. Just choose the trip I want to go on and everything's set up. So I did that my junior year of high school and went to Ecuador and the Galapagos for a few weeks. And it was pretty awesome.
Was that probably one of your favorite trips? 3 weeks out there. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, we hopped around a lot. So, I mean, it was 4 different places in Ecuador and then probably half a dozen places in the Galapagos.
Where did you ferry from Ecuador there then, or is it a little plane that you go to Galapagos?
Yeah, you take a plane. There's an island out there, Balcher Island, that all there is the airport. And then you get boated around all the different islands once you're out there.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to the Darwin Research Center and, hung out with 150 plus year old tortoises and saw their huge breeding facility and just thousands of baby galops everywhere. Is pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. In Ecuador, I'm sure with the sheets and the light they put out at night, the insects they got over there is probably much.
It was insane.
Yeah, probably didn't take long. I mean, I imagine I don't know. What did you find? What was the coolest? I mean, I'm sure there's many, but I mean, you said that what were you finding, like giant moths or beetles? What were you getting?
The moths were the coolest. Just like how the colorful ones. I mean, there's just things out there that I've never seen. I had no idea existed. And then there's this giant 6-inch moth, or ones that are mimicking hornets, or ones that are mimicking, I don't know, other bugs or stuff. Just a lot of diversity.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've wanted to do that here in Missouri a few times, and it's one of those things I've probably talked about for 7 years and never put the effort in for whatever reason.
You should do it.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll send you the link of the light I got. It's like $20. It's rechargeable.
Send it. I'll do it in a heartbeat. So I can't remember this guy's name. He was, every once in a while you meet these really unique characters when you're out and about. One of my herping buddies took us to this guy's place, and Eric was with me when I went there. Junior knows Eric. And this guy was waiting for us to roll to his house, and he had an Indiana Jones bullwhip, and he started snapping it in the middle of the road, all heroic like. And then we went in his house, and he wrote his name on everything he owns. Everything he owns. When he gives you something, he writes his name on it also. But he had a very large dead bug collection that he collected all on his own. A lot of Goliath beetles, a lot of lunar moths. And he had 1,000,001. He could look at any bug on the wall and tell you when he got it, what he ate that day. It was actually a really awesome time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I respect people like that.
And
Yeah.
you drove up to his property, and he's out in the middle of his driveway, or he like at the end of it, and he had his Indiana Jones outfit and like a bullwhip.
No outfit, just the
no
whip.
outfit. Okay, just a bullwhip.
Naked with the whip.
Yeah, he saw us come around the corner. He went on the road, man. He just started whoosh, whoosh, and then we rolled up. And
is that to get your attention then?
Well, you know what, man? I'm not gonna ever question a thing like that. I do pretty theatrical things when I see people for the first time. Not
great with bugs, not people.
Mm-mm.
Yes, true. But no, yeah, he's just a very interesting character along the way. He had like one. So we went milk snake road cruising with him for Red Milks in Missouri, and I have come across them road cruising, but it's very rare. But it was like super early spring. It was raining. It was disgusting out. I think it was like in the 60s. And I think we found like 2 that night on these roads. Well, one thing he did is I'm going to like blow this guy's cover and get him in trouble. But he spray paints a circle around where he finds the snakes when he road cruises. And every year he changes the color spray paint. So when you're going down these roads, you just see little circles everywhere of like any place he's ever seen a milk snake.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a pretty unique form of like, research. Yeah, and documenting like, like your field field herping. I mean, yeah, I don't know who's going to
do the same thing on your phone though.
You could do right. You could do the same thing on your phone. This guy's going pretty this is pretty old school here.
Yeah.
You could physically see it though. I mean, that's funny. Is he finding more milk snakes in the same, like near the same spots where he's found them previous years?
I think he claimed that he found one in one of his circles one time. Like, so yeah.
How many circles did he have though? Is that just a numbers game?
It's kind of a numbers game. I mean, there's a little bit of luck there. I don't know if we'll call it fate, but no, I mean, if you put a bunch of circles somewhere and drive up and down that road, eventually something's gonna be standing in your circle. But so up in Michigan, you ever go up for like fox snakes?
No, I mean in Washington, like Eastern Washington, we'd get bull snakes and gopher snakes, and you go a little further south, you'll get some like yellow rat snakes. But so far in Michigan, all I've found is garters. That's not true. A couple water snakes, but pretty much all garters.
Yeah, Massasauga's there too. I don't know about in your area, but I know certain spots. I mean, I think their population is pretty isolated, but I know a few people that,
Yeah, you go up north, they're there. Like my partner, her family has a big hunting property up north, and they're like, oh yeah, we found rattlesnakes and hog noses and rat snakes. And I'm just like,
yeah, show
here.
Yeah, I was in Detroit and I did get a spot given to me for fox snakes. It's like one of those things I've just never seen yet, and I just really want to. My father sent me a really cool picture, and the sad thing is I don't even think I have it anymore, but he was renting a cabin and it had like a brick wall, and there was 2 fox snakes kind of working their way up the wall while breeding. I may still have the picture. I'm gonna have to dig around, but I thought that was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any like herping trips, like aside from your Vietnam trip that you have planned in the future? Is there any like particular spots that you want to herp, like it's, let's say, in the US?
Yeah. Can't speak too much to it, but there is a chance this next summer I'll be venturing into the Darien Gap in Panama, South Panama, to find a tarantula species that hasn't been found yet. Also trying to go to Guatemala. My buddy's driving his motorcycle from Washington to Panama and back. So I'm trying to meet him in Guatemala and ride motorcycles with him for a bit. And then just kind of, obviously wherever you go, you're herping, it's just,
yeah, sure.
Nature. And then also the Southwest, like Arizona area, thinking about doing a trip out there just because both me and my partner have been really into the area for a while. Got friends down there. So I think maybe next spring, we'll do a trip down there and do some herping.
Now the tarantula in Panama, is that one? Is there like rumors that there might be a new undiscovered species and that just hasn't been properly documented? Is that what's going on?
Yep.
Okay.
You don't want to talk about it, do you?
Well, he says that one he can't speak too much on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get that. I was just fucking with you.
I would like to. We have Lucid Arboreals. They somehow donated $500, so I just want to give them a shout out. Lucid Arboreals.
Don't worry, Logan. You get a taste. We'll hook it up afterwards.
Well, I don't know where this money's going to. I don't know if the money goes to U.S. Ark or who's it going to.
Is that U.S. dollars?
What?
Is that in U.S. dollars?
I mean,
Well,
it says
I don't know if
SEK. I don't know. I don't think you can donate anything other than U.S. dollars.
I don't know. SEK might mean something else.
Yeah, because it would be pretty extreme. All right. Wait.
It's a Swedish.
It's a Swedish krona. Yeah, it's 11. Yeah, so basically, it's that looks like it might be about like $5.
$52.87.
All right, I didn't move the decimal 1 point over, so it's $52. Still very good.
good.
Very good donation.
Still very generous.
Shit, I didn't know our reach went all the way to Sweden.
Hell yeah.
But so I imagine you're in Michigan because your partner, or how did you end up in Michigan?
Just got a job out of college. Like I graduated right when COVID hit, and I don't know, wasn't picky where I wanted to live, so I just kind of applied for jobs all over the country and wound up in Michigan. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay here. Kind of want to go back to the Pacific Northwest for the next few years or so, but I enjoy it. You know, it's different. It's really weird because of how many like reptile people are out here. Like you would have never guessed that Michigan and like the Midwest area was home to like a ton of big name breeders and shows and stuff.
Well, you know, for Barczyk being an early guy in the breeding game, you know, some of that stuff is very contagious. Like, can you go to the Northeast for like a Pete Collar, like a Ralph Davis was? There was just breeders all around that area that developed. So I think certain regions just develop because of one breeder.
Yeah, who gets in early? Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know why I'm pausing so long. Usually this is so fluent.
It's okay.
So Arizona thing's pretty tight, man. They got Scottsdale coming up. I think in 2 weeks, the All-Americans got a show. I was looking at it as a maybe just to go and mess around a little bit because I want to do some herping. But I think the weather's going to be a little too cool. I hear there's not going to be a whole lot out. I was told that July is when you need to go to Arizona.
I thought July was way too hot. I thought it was like you go in April or like March to April.
Pretty much like whenever it rains. Anytime like Gila monster sightings, like everybody, if you see like on like iNaturalist or anybody that's talking about like a Gila monster, it's like, oh, it just rained the day before. And then like even looking for the Mexican hognose snakes, the one dude I know, he goes, yeah, we found a bunch when it was like raining or the day after it rains. It seems like it's like best if you live in the area or you're just lucky and you happen to be there when it's, you know, raining. And even when it's cool out, I heard when it's like even 60 degrees, if it's raining, stuff will be out because stuff has to take a lot of species have to take advantage when it's raining because it rains there pretty infrequently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty impressive how long some of those droughts are. But yeah, it seems like I don't know what the best months. I would figure the same thing like April, May. But I know it rains sometimes a good bit in October, November. So even now it's good as long as it rains.
Yeah, I just heard rainy season too. Whenever it's raining the most, you're going to see the most life out doing things there. But I'm sure there's parts of the states that doesn't really matter. There's a lot of green parts of the states. I think you could probably herp a lot of months there successfully.
Probably. Either of you guys do the Dallas show?
Dave has.
Yeah, I've done Arlington a bunch of times. I did the Dallas one once, maybe twice.
I've been enjoying that one. There's a great herping spot like half hour away from downtown, like National Park. Found copperheads and different found a rat snake, found ringneck snakes, found skinks. Like it's an old farm that was turned into like a park, and there's just reptiles everywhere.
Interesting.
That's pretty awesome.
I got put on a road cruising spot just outside of Arlington. Saw some of the prettiest copperheads I've ever seen. They had that Transpaco kind of look to them.
Yeah.
we saw a rat snake, a younger one. Other than that, we didn't have a lot of luck. And I did go down for Diamondbacks one time at a park outside of the show. Same deal. We put in hours, didn't find shit. It's actually not the same deal. It was miserable. Everybody I know goes there to see something. Just wasn't there for me. But I don't know if I'm going to get back down there. I like Texas, but there's a lot of rules at that show about what you can have with you, where they can be sold. You got to go a couple counties over to like deliver animals.
Yep.
I do hear rumors there may be a new facility coming up for that, but
For the Dallas show?
rumors. You don't have to listen to me. I just heard that maybe they might go into a new place in the future.
Are you talking about the NARBC?
Yeah, talking NARBC. I don't think there's anything wrong with the new location other than the regulations, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if you go, you guys heard of Reptilandia?
I've driven past it.
Yeah, I'm friends with the owners and the people who run it. And dude, coolest reptile zoo probably in the world. Like,
where's that?
It's in Johnson City, like an hour west of Austin.
Okay.
So it's about 4 hours south of Dallas. That county, though, that it's in is like super lax on laws. So that's where like all of the safari parks are and zoos and like everything's down in that county. But yeah, dude, Reptilandia is insane. Like their enclosures are top tier, like their croc monitor exhibit, 70 feet by 40 feet with the full waterfall. You know, they successfully bred them last year in there. They cohab, like all of their enclosures are 2 stories. So you go up the stairs to the second floor and you're looking at the top view down. But a lot of their enclosures are cohab with different things. So they have, you know, the cyclurid with the tortoise that has, you know, the gecko living at the top, and they're all from the same region kind of thing. And it's really cool.
And that's Reptilandia. And he said it's about an hour south of Austin, Texas.
It's about an hour west of Austin, 4 hours south of Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. Hour west, then 4 hours down.
Yeah. And they have species there that like you've only seen a picture of. Like their collection it's kind of built for reptile people, but since it's so impressive, like you don't have to like reptiles to appreciate it. But if you do, you could literally spend days there. Like,
oh, cool.
Like, every cage is like, holy shit, I've only heard of this cobra once. Never did I think I would see one. Like, just it's really impressive.
Oh yeah, it sounds like they need a lot more publicity because I never heard of it before. It sounds really, really nice.
That's the thing is there's 3 of them that run it, all of it. And like they've been trying to work at the marketing side and the social media side, but they're all animal people. So like their main focus is just running the zoo. And so they need publicity because like, yeah, it's insane. I can't talk enough about it. I love that place.
Yeah, well, we have Hogalicious is from that. They're from North Houston, and they're saying they have to check it out with the kiddos. So yeah, it sounds like a pretty sweet spot.
Tell them Logan sent you.
That's awesome. Well, they should do some like set up some like cameras inside of these enclosures where there's just like a constant like streaming of what these animals are doing.
Like the eagle's nest.
Yeah, like the eagle's nest, something like that, where they don't have to put a lot of time into it. It's always just doing its thing. I think it was man, there was a guy on YouTube that had, I think it was called Chicken City, and when you sent in a super chat, it would pay for a chicken party, and this thing would just start throwing treats in the air for the chickens, and the chickens would all go nuts. I think at one point it was like one of the bigger YouTube channels when it came to super chat money coming in.
And then all the chickens got overweight. That was my morning gecko room.
Yeah.
Press a button and crickets get flung out of a feeder or something.
I kind of like that one. I like that. Just have to do it for multiple cages. But yeah, you know, it's really sad, man. Like, yeah, I feel like there was a time in my life where like I used to stop at like every roadside thing I've ever seen for animals. You know, me and Josh Roberts used to drive to California all the time back for Brian, and we'd stop at rug shops, fossil shops. We would feed ostriches on the roadside. Like, there are so many cool things to do when you drive across this country.
Yep.
Yeah, Crystal and I went to one of those drive-through safari. You know, I don't know what you call it, but you feed them bread, which doesn't seem like the best diet for like there's elk, buffalo, zebras, and I like the elk a lot. That was pretty cool. It's kind of interesting because you're driving through and you just have your window down and you can pet them and everything, and it's kind of like just like it's a drive-through petting zoo essentially.
Yeah.
They have one of those just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's really nice. If you're ever out that way, let me know. But I used to go there a bit when I was living there. I thought it was pretty baller.
I went to one as a kid in Seattle called, what was it? Pacific Crest Trail or something. And it was, basically that, where you drive through and there's elk and caribou and reindeer and basically whatever mammal can live in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that's the one we went to. Is right outside of kind of like Olympic National Park in Washington. We did it.
The same one.
It is the same one. It is the game and whatever they called it, but yeah, we did that after the expo.
Nice.
So like when you went to school, like what was your goal coming out? Like, did you go with a plan, or did that just kind of work? Like, how'd you get from A to B?
Well, originally the plan was to get my PhD in entomology, and that was like the plan I had all growing up. Was just set on that, and then I went to college and realized like that doesn't really sound like it's for me. And I've always thought about going back and getting my master's in island ecology, just because I think it's a really cool science. And it's like how ecosystems form and develop over time. And, it can be translated into like building vivariums and stuff. And I just think it's cool. But yeah, after I graduated, it just kind of was like, all right, I want to do something. I want to go out in the world. I want to do something fun. I want to, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I loved reptiles and bugs and this hobby. And so just kind of left after that. Working, figuring it out as I go.
No, that's fair, man.
I think that's kind of how like a lot of us ended up in this hobby. What do you say, Dave?
Yeah, no, I just was very fascinated with the breeding aspect of it. I just really love the combinations. I love the mutations. I've always said, like, early on in the hobby, I was very morph motivated. I did a lot of artwork in high school, and as soon as like the day I graduated high school, I started working in a factory and never really did artwork ever again in my life.
That's sad.
It is really, really sad. I still have all my old books, all my old ideas and stuff. Just one of those things that when the supplies weren't free anymore, I just stopped doing them. I like Rauschenberg and Andy Warhol. I like Pound Art. I was a big Basquiat fan, Keith Haring. Once it was over, man, it was just kind of over, sadly.
I've never been into like, I don't call myself a breeder. Like, I bred my first tarantula a year ago, my first snake 6 months ago. What's up, handsome?
Hi, everybody.
You miss us?
I did too much. I had to get back on here.
So like I always just kind of thought of myself as like a keeper. Like I really enjoy watching the animals, learning their behaviors, and just like, I don't know, enjoying their presence. And then occasionally like breed things, or like years ago I started getting pairs for the singles that I had to grow up to breed. And that's more so just like, I don't know, because it was new, different, and maybe you could sell the babies and put the money back in to pay for feeders and cages and stuff like that. But I don't know, the breeding side of it is fun, but it's never been like the thing that tickles me.
Well, I don't know if you realize this from Junior's background, but it really tickles him.
I could tell.
Yeah. Some of the baby racks right now are empty, but I have some grow ups, and then there's some breeders here. My main thing is just plains hognose snakes, and then color mutations and genetics. So it's like I went to Alex. I don't even know his last name. He's out in Arizona.
Yes, next week, buddy. Steve,
yeah, I don't know his last. All I said is I don't know his last name. I don't know like most people's last names. It's very, very. It's not bad, but his nickname's Panda. But like guys over at his place, and this dude has like so many species, and he has a lot of stories to him too. Like, this one was animal that needed to be rehabilitated. This one was given up by somebody. And then Steven, he's another one. Steven here, he has a bunch of different species. I remember last time I seen part of his collection, he had like ridge-nosed rattlers. He had the spilotes, the tiger rats, which I think the tiger rats, that's a cool one. I'd like to see that one like captive born because I think it's a cool looking snake. But I'd always see the wild caught ones coiled up in gigantic containers, and they always looked thin. And I was like, man, I just don't like the look of that snake. But when I seen them at Stevens, I was like, oh, they look really good. They're filled out. It looks like a nice, healthy animal.
Yeah, they just being so like high strung. They really, I'm not going to say they don't take the import process well, but you got to treat them right once they get in. I feel like if you let it sit at the flipper or whatever for too long, it's like that animal's kind of far gone by the time you can get your hands on it. But they're more resilient than you think they are. They're not as bad as some of like the Coronius or Goniosoma or stuff like that.
They always remind me of kind of like a beauty snake when I see them in people's setups on branches and stuff, the way they just kind of like bask or sit there.
Yeah, they're like a faster, more kind of like jittery alert beauty snake.
What's up with I saw this at Tinley. I was going to ask you about it, Stephen. I forgot up until this very second. I saw the Spilotes sulpharis red phase.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing?
So, I mean, that specifically is a project that Jason Hood is working on from like one red animal that he got. Okay. There are a ton of red animals in the wild. They have a huge range. They are just exported from a very limited part of that range, but like a lot of the animals in Brazil are like deep red, like darker than Jeff's shirt red.
That's cool.
So yeah, they're I mean, the thing is like we get the top end of their range, but they're all the way through Brazil. They're in Peru and Ecuador and like, Colombia, Venezuela, like on the southern edge. They're all over the place. So they're super variable throughout that range. We just kind of have limited access to the extent of that range.
Has anyone bred a melanistic one yet?
Of the sulphurious or just Spilotes in general?
I mean, I guess both. But
I mean, some of the animals from like Guyana and Suriname get pretty dark, and I think some of the ones in Peru as well. I'm not sure if I've seen like a solid black one, but like a 90% black Spilotes for sure. Yeah,
dude, that thing sounds metal.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are kind of going the opposite direction, trying to get as much like yellow and orange in there as possible. Which I mean, I'm guilty of that. That's mostly what I'm doing. But yeah, the opposite would be really awesome as well.
I've thought about that with like blue beauties. Like if one day somebody comes out with like, an albino would be cool just because of the novelty, but like a melanistic one, this giant black rat snake up in the trees, like that sounds so cool. You just see like the patterns through it still.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I feel like, like kind of, the novelty of it kind of defeats the purpose of a blue beauty snake. But no, for sure. I mean, you kind of like get like a Batias carinata or something. You get mostly there. Yeah.
Well, in a lot of species, blue-tongued skinks, the melanistic is sought after. In boa constrictors, the IMG gene is extremely popular. So I think anytime you can take a species with jet black, people fall in love.
Yeah, no question. Absolutely. Yep. That's for damn sure.
By the way, you guys have a really great chemistry. Logan, you should really go on Steve's podcast sometime if you haven't already.
Well, you have a podcast?
Yeah, I mean, man, what was that episode? It was maybe 4 months ago. There was some dude on there that had this beard and some tattoos and a bunch of morning geckos in a cage.
Sounds hideous.
Okay. Yeah.
So you guys have already touched tips. I don't have to introduce you guys. Everything's cool. You've already talked to each other.
More than that.
Dave, Steve used my hotel shower twice, so
I only used it once. So was NJ taking care of you that weekend? Is that where you had to shower in other people's rooms?
Yeah, if I was flying solo. Brooke and I were flying solo.
I just have an open door bathroom policy.
Yeah, Logan seems really generous with finding all of the strays at the show. Like Dave was one. He's like, I have nowhere to stay. Luckily, Logan was there to help him out.
Well, the funny thing is, so I slept on Panda's floor, and then Logan let me shower in his bathroom. There were two.
Where was this?
This was at Pomona.
Yeah.
Not this past
it was in Pomona. Okay, all right.
A couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, it was about a year. I think it was maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago. But no, MJ had me come out, and then we went to the show, and then I was just kind of wandering by myself for hours, and then Panda found me trying to sleep probably on a floor somewhere, so he brought me to his room to sleep on his floor, and then just like in a lot of circumstances, I snuck out before everybody woke up, and I left my phone in his room. So then I went and slept outside where they were having church. And then I ran into Logan and I took a shower.
Oh,
Nice.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It was a nice time. I had a great time.
I'm looking up. I'm trying to find these red spilotes. I'm finding some pictures of spilotes. I didn't know that they came in red. Do they also call them? Do they also call them tropical chicken snakes?
Yeah, but
cool common name, by the way.
I like that.
Are you on iNet or something?
No, I'm on Google Images.
Okay, yeah. I mean, man, I gotta have this picture.
Let me go on iNaturalist. I was talking about with Logan about the blue beauties on I was like, you know what? Let me look at them on iNatch, and there was not many sightings actually. There was like about a dozen.
Huh. Interesting. I would have expected more. Yeah, if you go Spilotes sulphureus on iNat, you'll find a decent amount of pictures of the high red ones.
Chicken snake.
Yes,
all right.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, this one looks pretty dark here. So actually, that one's pretty freaking dark. Maybe it's because it's like a neonate, but yeah, it's because it's a baby.
Here, let me see if I can, because I'll be able to screen share it on.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you could screen share some of these, because the Spilotes are actually pretty cool. My friend Christian, I don't know his last name. Sorry, Dave. You guys probably know him. He's at Coolabrid Fest. He's real big into herping, and he bought Spilotes, and it was 25% of some locale. I think he got it from Jason Hood, actually.
Yeah, the Tamaulipas Honduran cross. The
okay.
Tamaulipas.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, I know certain species they frown upon crossing. Is that like one of those things that there's a gray area, or there's purists and not purists? Is still being pure? How does that work with that?
As of current taxonomy with those, it's just a locality cross. I actually was lucky enough to have the guy on my show who redescribed the whole Spilotes genus. And he kind of inferred that like there's probably more work to be done on the genus if anyone ever wanted to tackle it. But yeah, currently what Jason's doing is just a locality cross, even though they're, Tamaulipas is like the northern extent of that range. But I don't think it's frowned upon in the Spilotes world. And frankly, with a lot of the Mexican stuff, we have such a limited bloodline or gene pool that doing the crossing is just kind of like going to be an inevitability of keeping the bloodlines diverse, if that's what you're into. So that's kind of my assumption as to why he's doing that. And they frankly, they look really cool too. And the Tamaulipas animals are really uncommon in captivity. Like they're the white whale of the Spilotes world.
That's like when you were talking about them being like, they're a northern part where like they go down into Brazil, and I think you said all the way over to Peru too. It sounded like that these have a pretty large range. And that's what I was going to ask is is there any subspecies, or are these all considered just one species and there's just different locales? But you kind of answered that saying that there needs to be more research. And there's an insane amount of finds on iNaturalist too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm clicking around over here trying to find this one listing. Hopefully it's for actually freaking find it. But it was Dr. Jaden. He the guy who redescribed them. He basically said it's almost kind of like the like Eastern rat snake phenomenon. Like, all right, you kind of took a few species, mashed it all into one, and genetically they're very similar throughout the range. If you're going purely on genetic data to do your description. So, it kind of comes down to what factors you're using as, the herpetologist figuring out how you want to split these species up. But, I haven't seen enough throughout the range to be able to like, I've never been there, you know, and I've only seen captive animals that are from, you know, pretty tight window, but I'd have to imagine with the right amount of work, you could, you know, speciate to a degree down there. God, all the that's not
Hey
it.
Logan, we were talking blue beauties earlier and just how rare it is to see them in the wild. Do you have about an idea how many were even brought into the country that all our breeders came from?
No clue. Steven, do you know?
No, I'm not sure.
Beauties, they started coming into the pet trade a lot, like in the the 90s. Was that kind of the initial?
I heard 96 was the first import.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is not the one that I was thinking, but it'll do for now until I can find it. So like that.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
And so that's
cool.
So that's a lot deeper.
That's like that's like a
I'll take
hypermelanistic and blood red.
Yeah,
one of those.
I haven't seen this one before. This one's super neat, but I'd have to imagine, you know, he probably said it when I was interviewing him, but the one that Jason got was probably from Suriname or Guyana. But just kind of like an anomaly in a shipment that came into Snakes at Sunset. But this is a Brazilian animal, so you know, definitely nothing that we have over here in the States, you know, or anywhere. But yeah, that right there is amazing, and you know, that snake at like 10, 11 feet long. Holy crap!
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, let me keep looking for this other picture.
That looks like a species that would be good in a your setup, Logan. Spilotes look like something that do good in that grow tent, kind of like naturalistic setup there.
Have you seen Zach? Steven, do you remember his last name?
Yeah, Zach Porritt.
Yeah, A-Life Exotics. He has that big greenhouse in Utah that he turned into a walk-in terrarium. He's got a pair of Spilotes just hanging out, free roaming.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it, I think they're the best display snake in the world. Spilotes.
How many people captive breed Spilotes? Like, how many captive born Spilotes are there a year in the pet trade or reptile hobby? Like, not many.
No, not many. I mean, for the longest time, it was really like Jason Hood. That's about it. Gavin Brink was doing a lot of them as well. And then they're just kind of like some here and there, some imported gravid females. I've had a couple clutches this year, and hopefully I can keep that going. But yeah, there's a major lack of captive bred Spilotes in the U.S. and a huge demand for them too.
Are they being imported still?
Yeah. So the South American, the Guyana, Suriname animals, there, you see them pretty regularly. There's have been a bunch that have been labeled as Nicaraguan that have been coming in over the last few years. That they look more Mexican. They have a lot more yellow throughout the body, where like a lot of the South American ones, that yellow kind of stops mid body. So I mean, they come in with some regularity,
okay.
But then with like the Mexican localities, Tamaulipas, Veracruz, especially as the further north you get, you really don't see them, and you don't really see too many Costa Ricans as well. So the Costa Rican Spilotes have a totally unique look to them. They're crazy. They have this like pale yellow head. They're just actually, let me
like
see
Jansenite kind of.
Yeah, that might be a good comparison. Let me see if I can find this on iNat over here. But like, all right, yeah, I'll share the screen right now. Just
that one looks nice. I can see that.
So this is a Tamaulipas.
Ooh.
So that's like the holy grail.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's what the crosses that Jason made are 75% Tamaulipas. And then like for anyone who wants to go, I mean, I guess I can show it right now. Like the pins on iNat, like they are all over the damn place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look at them.
So yeah, they're a very plentiful species in the wild.
Yeah, and it looks like it could be supported almost that they are one species, and there might be subspecies because it kind of looks like they kind of all bleed together. It doesn't really seem to be any gaps between their finding them.
Right, exactly. So like, there's definitely something to be said that they are just one big ass, species that spans a massive, land mass.
See, that's what I don't get about the beauty snakes is if you just type in beauty snake and zoom out, it looks like that in Southeast Asia. But then you got blue beauties and Ridley eye and, Chinese beauties that are insanely different in size, color, attitude, location, and yet they're still all the same species.
Yeah. This is that Costa Rican locale.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's inverse to where the black base color is the band color, and then that kind of, it's interesting because the color shift doesn't really make a whole lot of sense geographically, like that kind of tan coloration. But yeah, like they have like a tan head. It's ridiculous.
It's almost like Mamba-esque.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've talked to Mamba keepers who are like, if you want the fun of keeping a Mamba without the danger, like Lordy's is a Mamba. Like their behavior is almost indistinguishable. So
yeah, and even just like their head shape, like in their eyes look very Mamba-y.
Absolutely. Their movements, their body structure, their size. I mean, they don't get as big as black
Damn
Mamba.
it, now I want one, Steven. You finally done it.
Took me long enough. I should have gotten them a while ago. No, they're my favorite colubrids.
That's cool. What locale is this? Costa Rica?
Yeah, it's Costa Rica.
This is generally a species I probably know almost nothing about. Like, I've seen them, of course, on Hood's Table, I think at Daytona a few times, but never really got to have any conversations about this species in the hobby.
Well, here you go.
There it is. I'm not. It's kind of going over my head. I'm trying to keep up, but no, it's cool. Are they rear fanged?
So there's debate about that. The sulfurious are supposed to be, but then the pilatus, so like the tiger rat snakes, are not. And I don't remember if this was like a comment or a live chat on a podcast, but I got asked the question and I don't know the answer. Like, does it make any sense that there would be a genus where there would be a rear fang species and a non-venomous species sharing that genus? Do you guys know?
Right. No, that seems very unlikely if they're like, even animals that get in the same subfamily, but let alone like genus, like, which is even more closely related than subfamily, that one would be rear fanged and the one not. That would be pretty unusual because that's like a really big physiology wise, that's like pretty extreme difference. I don't know how long it takes for evolution for something like that to change. I mean, you could look at like hognose snakes or even like garter snakes, they have venom glands and they don't have rear fangs. I mean, unless some people say they do, but they have the enlarged maxillary teeth and they secrete venom just like a hognose does through chewing. And it's like, well, there'd be some evidence of like that probably being lost. I mean, I guess anything's possible with that, but how many years would it take for, animals in the same genus to evolve where one's rear fang mildly venomous and the other has no remnants of that physiology at all?
Yeah. Well, so then the other interesting component of the conversation with this is the Phrynonax genus, which are the neotropical bird snakes.
Those are cool.
So yeah, they're super cool.
Really cool.
And I don't know for sure. And I've heard a lot of debate. I've been bitten by both the sulfurious and the pilatus mexicanus. I've never had a reaction. I've never had like them chew on me either, but that also doesn't really seem to be like an impulse of theirs when they bite you. I'm not convinced personally that any of them are rear fang, but I think what might be the case and what I've heard is that they still have the vestigial structures in their skull to support the venom gland and maybe even the rear fang, although I haven't seen it, but no gland itself. Like that has just disappeared over time. But yeah, I mean, to think of a genus having a non-venomous and a venomous species within it, and when the genus is only 2 species, it's like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not adding up to me. And then there's this other genus that the sulfurious used to be Soustes with the neotropical bird snakes. And then I think it's because Sulfurius was the type species for the genus Sustes. The genus had to get axed because the goal was to put the Sulfurius into the Spilotes genus with the Pilatus, the tiger rat snakes, which led those neotropical bird snakes floating. So they got assigned to a previous taxa, which was Phrynonax. And now there are like 2 or 3 species that have, it was originally a 1 species genus, I'm pretty sure. But now there's like 2 or 3 species that are recognized. It's very confusing and probably not even fully right at this point anyway. So
yeah, probably not. Probably change a dozen more times.
Because I think the neotropical bird snakes are the same way, where they have all of the structure in their skull for a venom gland, but they don't actually have the gland present. Could be wrong though. All I know is that if any of them are venomous, it is as mild as can be, it seems.
So I hate this being a topic because it's all anybody talks about, but how do you guys think the hobby's doing?
I feel like I would ask you guys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because Dave, you and I are like, we're like, I don't know, we're selling stuff. I do exports, you know. I mean, there's different aspects of the hobby, though. You know, it's like, you know, we have our similarities, but you know, Logan is a naturalist keeper. He's also into insects, and you know, he has his morning geckos, and I know he's going to expos and stuff, so he's definitely involved and seeing the community. Yeah. I mean, social media and everything's gotten bigger, and I think US Arc and as an organization, they've actually are at their strongest point they've ever been. They've got the most funding, most donations, and the reptile hobby and community has definitely grown to the largest it's ever been. I mean, it was just a few years ago, even though it's died down, when there was a surplus of money and a bunch of new people rushing into projects, there was crested geckos going for $30,000 each. Actually, the first super caps, one guy paid $60,000 for one of the first super caps.
Oh my
4 of
God.
them, yeah. Then there was 3 that were paid like $50,000 each for them, and by a year and a half later, they were down to $2,000. And then, but they were the first super caps, and these dudes in China, I guess, really wanted them. And so even though there's that big descent and like finding out, hey, we overpaid for these things, and also they seem to have some physiological, anatomical defects that people don't really like. So now they're dropping in price even further for the super caps. But I mean, everything's doing good. There's a lot of people in this small community, but the small community keeps getting larger.
Yeah, that's kind of my view too. Is as long as it's growing, and it still is. I mean, new people are still getting into the hobby. New animals are still coming to the hobby. Companies are still, investing in new products. It's shows are, doing good. It's not the same as 2021 where we saw 1 million people buying crested geckos. Everyone's selling out everything at shows, kind of thing. But it's still steadily increasing, even with tariffs and political drama and all of that stuff. People are still buying snakes, buying bugs, spending money to upgrade their animals and stuff. So as long as it's growing, I think it's doing good.
Yeah, I think the biggest avenue to the growth is actually kind of like social media. That's what actually gets a lot of people interested in this stuff. Like, a lot of people, if you ask them like, hey, growing up, what really interested you in reptiles? I hear people say like, Steve Irwin, and, they know him from like watching like, Animal Planet. And now we have YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and that's where, a lot of people platform. So Logan is definitely with a large following, somebody that would be getting a lot of people into the hobby. And you and I, Dave, we do it too. So yeah, that's a lot, that's the one thing that is good to post. And that's the thing. You see the difference too. Like when you're, let's say we're doing more podcasts, or we're posting more frequently on Instagram, or making videos that are helpful, and we're going to reptile shows. Your sales, of course, definitely increase if you're selling animals. And not only that, you get more people that are followers, and you make more connections, and it's a good way to network. And even if it's not all about that, you are getting more people interested in the hobby in many ways.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I think the hobby's doing just fine. I it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I know we're not like a niche thing anymore. We've grown, like you guys said, and we are growing bigger. But like, when you start seeing these bigger representation companies like Chewy coming out and stuff like that, which I love Chewy, I use them all the time. But like, I don't know if I liked it better when we were not noticed compared to being noticed more. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a negative over time.
No, it's better.
Yeah, the money comes with being noticed.
Money comes with it.
And
That's
where the money goes is where legislation goes, where studies go. I mean, like there's all this drama about, always is drama about UV light in reptiles and stuff. And it's like, well, there's still no studies conducted on it because there's no money behind it. And hobbyists aren't going to pay for it. What point, light companies aren't going to pay for it. And so like the more eyes we have on us, the more these big companies like Chewy and stuff are starting to get their foot in the door. Like, yeah, that might just be the way the door opens to let money in to start kind of moving things forward. I don't know. I'm trying to stay hopeful at least.
Yeah. Yeah, you have more and more people, and the more people you have, you start getting these different dynamics. The dynamics in what people's pursuit now in the hobby is vastly different than like 20 years ago. 25 years ago when I was like a kid, and basically in the reptile hobby, it was like pet people, hobbyists, breeders. That was it. And, a lot of those people, like, there's people that are into herping too. But yeah, it seemed more limited. Now you have people that are more like, conservationists, you have, influencers is kind of like a broad term because you could be an influencer and your topic might be reptile breeding, genetics, or it might be naturalistic keeping. It could even be herping. It doesn't even necessarily have to encompass actually being a keeper or breeder. You could just be, somebody that's, herping or even traveling and observing stuff in the wild. So, yeah, it seems like the thing is there's enough interest in the hobby now where it's like there's people that are making a living solely off doing these aforementioned things at a much greater level. So I think that's really, a really good thing, and the more eyes have actually kind of like the more eyes, and then also I'd say more progressive ideologies have pushed people to try to do better as far as keeping animals. And then we see less imports now. We see less demand for having to have a bunch of animals imported. There's more captive breeding, and kind of like me, I captive breed enough hognose snakes to pretty much supply any person that wants a hognose snake. And, there's no need to take stuff from the wild as much anymore. When I started Plains hognose, like the first 5 I owned were all wild caught.
Well, so not having more imports coming in, I don't think it's a negative. I know people like that, but
there's pros and cons to that.
Yeah, like I like import export out of the wild. I don't know. It's like, it's 50-50. Like you said, it's how we establish the stuff we have now.
Well, you look at go ahead, Logan.
I was going to say, like, it can be done responsibly. And, like, if done responsibly, that's how we're able to get in, like, new bloodlines and morphs and species and things. And, a lot of people, and especially conservationists, don't believe in the whole, the animal survives in the hobby type of thing. Like, unless it's at a zoo, then it doesn't count kind of thing. But I still think there's something to be said for it, animals surviving in captivity. But yeah, I think, like you said, there's pros and there's cons.
Yeah,
there definitely is. Because, sorry, Dave, but you see, like, let's say Savannah monitors, they're imported. I don't think anybody captive breeds those things. I've heard, but like the albinos, there's a reason nobody has albino Savannah monitors. So like 966% posets and the 3 visual albinos were never bred. And then there was another, like, I think T positive and a hypo even, and they couldn't get them to breed. But Savannah monitors are like $15 each. And so basically their importation is just for the pet trade solely, and they're not really becoming established. And it is kind of unfortunate that the importation is kind of getting narrower because there are species that we would like to see maybe come in to people to try to propagate them, which would be fantastic, but yeah, there's more limitations now as they kind of seem to be cracking down on what's exported.
Mm-hmm.
So Logan, I've asked this question before, but like when you buy your organic eggs, it comes with the stamp of approval being organic. You pay a little more for it. It's going to taste a little better in our heads.
Sure.
For reptiles, Do you think that down the road there could be something along the lines of people are doing bioactives, a more natural setting? And do you think people would pay more money if they knew you kept your breeders in larger enclosures where they can free range more?
No, I don't.
Oh, geez.
Somebody say yes eventually.
I mean, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe because I have a social media presence and people want a piece of the animal that they've been watching online forever kind of thing. But other than that, like, I don't think saying like, oh, the parents lived in a 1,500-gallon enclosure instead of a 150 or whatever. Like, I don't think that really has any weight to it. And like, I also think that, not every snake species belongs in a giant bioactive grow tent vivarium. Like, there's plenty of species that prefer racks, that do best in racks and breed better in racks and stuff. It's just, I think more so paying attention to the species you keep and like matching the enclosure to the needs of the animal. I think there's something to be said about like captive bred, U.S. captive bred versus, like import / wild caught or farm bred or whatever it is. But that's nothing new.
No, and I agree with that. These are just kind of random things. These are just
Yeah.
thoughts. They might have no meaning.
I think there'd be a small market there.
Yeah.
Some people, there's definitely, I think it is definitely if you have like some, like, if you have your stuff like in a nicer bioactive or naturalistic terrarium and you're raising your babies and like Logan says, yeah, you definitely want to have some form of like a following. Like some people like, yeah, when you're selling to the hobbyists and breeders out there, yeah, I can definitely see Logan's take on it because, like, I know how people shop and stuff. I mean, I've sold reptiles. Yeah. I've sold reptiles since I was a young kid and, like, for a long time. But I think now if you have the following and you kind of, like, pitch what you're kind of, like, your ideology and the way you're keeping your stuff and, like, hey, I'm asking a little more for these because this is how I have them set up. There's definitely going to be some people that appreciate it, but you definitely have to have a little bit of a following and, but yeah, I like Dave's take on it. Kind of like, yeah, you have these eggs. They're like, well, with us, we have more proof. At the store, the only proof you have is a fucking fancier label, and you're paying $2-3 extra. So then you feel like you're getting something, and you're like, wow, I'm paying extra, but really it's only $2 or $3. At that given time. So for a reptile, you're gonna have to charge like an extra. The funny thing is, I just showed that to Crystal. I was like, what if we set up like my fat tails and nicer setups and stuff. And I had way less of them in the leopard geckos because they crap so much. And, and keeping them in rack systems, it kind of is like, I'm like, this is more like farming. I'm not really, the leopard geckos are just not that much fun like this. Mm-hmm. But we'd have to ask like 4 times the amount for them. And then that's a tough ask, especially in the leopard gecko community. Because the leopard gecko community, those motherfuckers all care about what the hell's the cheapest leopard gecko 90% of the time. Mm-hmm.
So, again, Logan, this is group talk, by the way, Steve. We invited you back for a reason.
Yeah, you have any input.
You look great. You look great, by the way. I'm not going to take anything from you, but like, so the regulations they're talking about passing in Colorado has been a big topic for the last 6 months. I think for good reason, because when you hear about one state passing a law like that, I think other people had the fear those laws could start trickling into the neighbor states, the way that laws in Florida start trickling into Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, so on and so forth. Now, do you think that we should have these regulations like Europe has, like Colorado has, or we actually have cage requirements? But also, if that happens, do you think people will still have ways to make a living in the hobby?
I hate to have to sound this ignorant, but I am not aware of what's happening in Colorado. Can you bring me up to speed?
So cage requirement based on the length of the animal. So I believe if you have a 12-foot long retic, it needs to be in a 12-foot long enclosure. So the enclosure, so if your ball python's 4 or 6 feet, it's going to have to be in a tub or a space that is that length. Is that right, Junior? Is that what I've been hearing on this?
I'm pretty I don't know too much about it either. I know Phil Goss is going up there soon and they're discussing it. And but yeah, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure you're correct, Dave, with those parameters that like, the length of your tub has to be the length of the snake species you're keeping.
Yeah, and I did hear at first when they were talking about that law, if your retic was 12 feet, they expected a 12-foot by 12-foot, but they That was early on. Now it's again just a length thing, not a length and width.
Wow.
But I was under the impression that this was already moving forward. And I believe in the state of Colorado, if you have 200 and more snakes, it's going to be enforced. And I think that also that 200 number might also be like your total snakes produced that year. So if you got 30 breeders and you make 170 babies, you got to like file with the state what you're doing.
Wow.
I could be wrong. This is just talking with other people, but I know the cage requirement thing's a real thing. I know Europe did this forever ago.
Yeah.
Like forever ago. And I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing, but I do think like you're talking about the leopard geckos, it will get to the point where maybe certain species can't be produced in captivity for the prices expected.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, and I don't know if that's going to encourage more importing when we realize we can't make a ball python cheap enough anymore.
Yeah, get into Asian rat snakes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've gone back and forth forever on how I feel about this, and I think where I've eventually landed is like full on libertarian with reptile laws. It's like just you give them an inch, they'll take everything more than likely. So yeah, I think I'm against all of it, is what I'd say. Nothing is the best option. I mean, unfortunately, it's not the best option, but it's probably the best for the majority of us in the long run.
I agree. Less is more. I think as soon as regulations start coming out, I think they're going to just one after another. We see that in the Southeast. We see it in Florida. Not that you can't breed in Florida. There's a bunch of breeders in Florida, and they all work within regulation. And like I said, I don't want it to be like the wild, wild west, because then you get animal neglect and everything else. And, I do understand policing in the hobby, but I've always said it like, when we start taking other people's failures and just blasting it online because we think it's we should be doing this, it hurts the hobby.
Oh, 100%.
And there are some cases where this happens behind the scenes. Things are handled within the community, and then you never hear about it. But, man, there are so many circumstances on Facebook where it's just, my Google results, like, I don't really go – my algorithm on Facebook's fucked. It's a complete shit show. I can't even scroll it anymore. So now on my Samsung, I got the Google thing where you kind of go through Google stories. That's the only pure thing left on my folks. I've kept it pure. But every single day I get another story about boa constrictor found in residential neighborhood in Colorado or New York. Like, it's amazing, all these little stories across the country of people just releasing their reptiles out.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I shouldn't be talking about that much. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like with all the fake shit out there, how many of those stories are even real?
Well,
real like actual media sources.
Well, you know what, Steve? I'm going to start sending you every one I see. Every single day, you're going to get another.
Okay. There's a lot of them.
I actually believe you. That's crazy.
There's a lot of them, Dave. But there's a population in the United States of 340 million plus people. Yeah, 340 million people. So that stuff's gonna, definitely, happen with anything that's legally allowed to be done. You're gonna see somebody, whether it's come to hunting, fishing, owning dogs or cats, exotics. Whether it's like gun laws or whatever, there's always somebody abusing stuff, unfortunately. And, part of it is to be regulated, but it's like, okay, at every step, if anytime there's an issue, there's more and more regulation. That's where you start falling into the range of the overregulation. And that's kind of what we've seen in like Florida and stuff. Now they're trying to make Southern Hognose ESA. And it's funny. It's something, that's a species that is vulnerable to habitat destruction, and that's the main cause of the depletion of their population, and it has nothing to do with them being captive bred or even collected. So it's like, why even make this ESA? It's like, if you're so concerned about it, make them a species of special concern within the state and start regulating their habitat, whether it can be built on or not, if you're that concerned.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, last topic. How about this? because I'm just kind of going based on if somebody repeated something to me at least twice in Tinley, I think about it afterwards. If more than one people are thinking about it, but the auction settings for reptiles, whether it's Morph Market or your 60-second auction on Palm Street, it moves a lot of animals. I see the benefit. Do you think it brings a lower quality buyer to the table when you do that?
Inevitably, it would have to, right?
Mhm.
For some things.
I think it can.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely can. Just the people looking for the deal kind of thing.
I mean,
But
like,
I think there's also like a difference between like the Morph Market auction and like a Palm Street auction and stuff. Like I did one Palm Street and I thought it was pretty fun. And I like the idea of it where like you can see the actual animal you're getting. You have a connection with the breeder and the animal. It's not just a photo. It's not just, you know, like a listing kind of thing. It's like, no, you're seeing the animal, you're listening to the breeder talk, and you know, so there's that aspect to it. But yeah, I do think like a lot of people kind of just go for the auctions to try to find what's cheap and what they can get their hands on, and don't usually do the due diligence, you know, and research and stuff.
I've never done one of these auctions, but as the seller, do you then have the option of denying the sale to whoever won the auction after the fact?
I'm sure you can. I don't know, Dave. I think you can. I mean, you can actually, refuse sale at any point. I guess as long as you gave them a refund. I mean, that would be definitely one. I guess you'd have to, like, if it came to it or the person complained, they'd take it to like Morph Market. You know, so I think you can.
Yeah. You know, Logan, I do agree with you. I think the Palm Street aspect of like going on there and interacting with people, I do like that. I do think it's very beneficial if you already have like a following online to do that. It works out. I think if you have no following, you just expect to jump on there. It's just not going to be your thing.
Yeah.
So I do see the benefits of that. Like I said, if sales are slow, it's nice having animals move because it definitely encourages people to make more in the future. And people are going to make more regardless of how they do on sales. There's some people that can be responsible enough, but like even me, like, you know, people are kind of talking about fear of the market. And I'm all like, man, I'm going to try to produce as many blue-tongue skinks as possible, let's say, this year. You know, last year my numbers were a little lower, and I confidently I just want to see a lot of babies always, man. It's an addiction. I'm not even going to pretend like it's not. Like, I enjoy making reptiles. So with that being said, I like the outlets, but I don't know, man. I'm like so 50-50 on it. Like I see the benefit, but then I also see a lot of downside to it.
Yeah. I mean, if whoever is winning this auction wanted one of your animals so badly, then what's the point of the auction?
I mean, when I did my Palm Street auction, I had some that were selling above asking price.
Yeah, and I'm very ignorant to the Palm Street setup, so this is like I'm just coming from a place of not having a lot of information on it. The thing that I've always thought with it is like, you know, I know that like live selling is like a big thing these days, but like once you get to that place with something that's living, are we treating it too much like a commodity? But then also that's me not really knowing the details of how that works on these platforms. I'm more familiar with like the Morph Market ones. Like you just see, you know, scrolling on the site and then there's this like auction going for another 6 hours. And like, it's an animal's bid up to like a third of the market value for that species. And you're like, oh, okay, keep scrolling. I'm like, that seems like something I'm not really a huge fan of, but
yeah.
No,
but the whole turning the animals into like a product is such a deep conversation.
Yeah, and obviously that conversation goes further than live auctions.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me seems like the most extreme version of it potentially, or one of the more extreme versions potentially if done wrong.
Yeah.
So one benefit I've always had, or one thing, like I love doing shows. You know, Junior's the same way. And like, you know, the nice thing about a show is first off, I'm really good with people. I think my sales approach is really good. But if I have someone in front of my table that I just know is not right for it, I just become a very bad salesman on the spot.
Yeah.
Like I make it to where you just don't even really want to buy from me anymore, and you just kind of walk away. That's why I've always argued I can't have like retics on my table because I'll just tell most people they're just not meant to own a retic. I know there are responsible keepers in the hobby. I'm not going to take that away from them, but there's also a lot of idiots that buy retics and Burmese pythons.
I mean, I plan whenever I sell my baby blue beauties, it's like, no, you've got to tell me that you've got a good plan for this snake if it's a male that gets 10 plus feet, because you're not leaving it in a 4x2 for the rest of its life or something like.
Yeah. Well, and then also I think the discussion is a lot deeper when it's like, you know, thinking about auctions as a whole and then what exactly you're auctioning, you know, like for me, I don't work with a lot of beginner pet trade type of species. So I'm like, I love when people approach me about buying an animal, not even from an ad, just like hitting me up to see if I have anything. So like if I were to auction off a scrub python or something, I would at the end of it probably for one be like, man, I really don't think I should sell this animal for this cheap. And then also like, who the hell even won this auction? But then, you know, how many people can care for that animal for its full life compared to a crested gecko or a corn snake or whatever it may be. You know, I think there's a lot more depth to that conversation when you start getting into like, what exactly are you auctioning?
Yeah. And, you know, I know there's an aspect of creating community on that webpage too that helps out a lot. I talked to Mike at Snakes at Sunset. I think he says he even does like mini podcasts on his Palm Street sometimes to just essentially create a following. But, you know, Steve, so I did see a breeder. I won't mention the breeder, but they put like a pair of scrubs up one time. Minimal bid, $400. They never even got the minimal bid. So the animal didn't sell. If you would have saw, you probably would have bought them in a heartbeat because it was such a good deal. But unfortunately, the people that followed this breeder in that moment, none of them really familiar with it. A first bid at 400 is a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
It didn't go anywhere. So, you know, in some cases, like you said, where you want to sell your animal for less than it's worth, you could always just demand a little higher starting bid.
Sure.
And Logan, you know, depending on the species you were talking about, but like, I know breeders that sometimes at auction will sell an animal for more than what retail is. But also I think sometimes it's the following that comes with you and people that follow you just one of your animals that creates a higher bidder.
Yeah.
So
how does Palm Street work then with that following? Are you bringing people from your Instagram or your YouTube or whatever to Palm Street, or are you organically creating a following on Palm Street?
A little bit of both.
I've never even been on the site.
Yeah, so like
probably have. I'm just unfamiliar with it.
So
Palm Street sponsored me to sell through their app, so I'm not trying to sell you Palm Street by any means, but it's basically like a TikTok or Instagram live that you're doing. So you start the live, you're talking, doing whatever. Prior to that, you add to your list all the animals that you're going to auction off or whatever it is. It could be dry goods, whatever. And then during your live, you'll be like, oh, I'm going to auction off this. Tap, and then the auction runs and people can auction on it or bid on it while you're still talking and everything.
Okay.
And then at the end, you just get your report of everybody's info to ship it out. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You can do like giveaways and stuff. You can do, like dry goods, live animals. And then what I did is a week or two prior to my live, I made a really like aesthetic, like cover photo for it.
Okay.
And people on Palm Street, like using the app, will see that and then click the like follow button so they get notified when it started. But I would say the majority of people came from my Instagram or YouTube or something.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and one more thing, Steve, and correct me, Logan, is it always a 60-second auction? Can you adjust the time, or is it?
You can adjust it, and then you can change like the ending, so like somebody could snipe it at the very end, and or whenever somebody bids, it adds 5 more seconds, kind of thing. Or you can change it up.
I seen this plant guy join his live. The dude was a psycho. He had 6-second auctions for these little plants in Ziploc baggies, and it'd be 6 seconds. So if you were even turned around, as soon as I was watching it, and then people are bidding it, and then it had like a few second like snipe protection. But man, it was within like 10, 12 seconds. Each auction was over. and the little plants are all going for like $19 to $22. And half the people that won them that I watched for a short bit all had pictures of cats as their avatar.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of cat people on there. So I have one scheduled for October 29th, the Palm Street auction, and that's like what they described. It's just like that what Logan said. You know, it's kind of like a TikTok live, and then people just like bid, and it's interesting.
Have you done those regularly, Jeff?
Yeah, I've only done one, and I didn't even know how to operate it at first. I didn't do much advertising. It was pretty much like my personality. You know, I was like all over the place. Last minute, didn't do, but it ended up working out pretty well.
Okay.
And I told everybody, I was like, I'll sit there and do the auction pretty much as long as, you know, anybody's willing. I was like, I'd stay in there forever, pretty much. Not literally, but you know, I was like, until somebody pisses me off and like wins something for like $50 or $100 and it's worth like 500. I was like, I'm ending it. So near the end, like one did kind of, I was kind of tired, and one went for like about probably 40% of what it should have. I was like, all right, I'm calling it now as I'm gone.
That's tight.
So that's my promise. I do the Palm Street ones. I'm like, as soon as something goes really cheap and I'm irritated, I was like, it's ending. That's the end.
Yeah. If you ever have quantity in anything, I mean, it's definitely, I've heard of people that'll come on and do like 100 snakes in an hour, 100 snakes in 2 hours.
No, that's not good. That's too much. Who the fuck is doing 100? Then you got to make the shipping labels. How are you even doing that?
Yeah. Now, well, through Morph Market Shipping, because they sponsor the network, I think. They sponsor the network, right, Steve? You know what's going on.
I mean, essentially. No.
Morph Market doesn't know. No, Morph Market doesn't like Palm Street. They're competitors, kind of. Well, in their own sense.
That has nothing to do with this conversation.
No. Well, I will say this. Anything that I sold on Palm Street, I use Morph Market Shipping. So Darian got like 50 cents because his shipping margin's got to be like $1.50.
Nice. Sure. Yeah.
Well, shipping's really cheap. It's a joke that Morph Market shipping's really cheap. It's actually a plug for Morph Market.
Okay, we'll count it, which we may not have to do anymore because I don't know the rules. But yeah, either or. Yeah. All right. Well, I think is that a peak? You know, Logan, we promised to only keep you for a couple hours. I'd never put an end to anything if you're happy, but did you want to go to bed?
I think I'm an hour ahead of all you guys too.
No, me and you were at the same time. Steve.
Hey.
I'm behind. I'm chilling in mountain time, man. It's not that late here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here, though.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, anytime. Just let me know. Yeah. I'm glad it worked out. I think so what was funny, I'll tell you the story real quick. So I didn't come home from Tinley with any animals for myself, but I picked up a baby super dwarf retic from Reach Out for one of my best buddies who's getting it for his male that he has breeding project. And so I picked up the animal, had it at the booth all day or all weekend. And then we were packing up the car and leaving. And I realized, oh shit, I think I forgot it in the building. And so I ran back in and found it. And that's when Dave was like, what are you doing on Friday? You want to be on the podcast? And I'm like, half sweaty, just finished breaking down, just loaded up the car. I'm like, yeah, like just let me know details. I'm gonna forget as soon as I get back out to the car. So like I'm glad it all worked out. I had a lot of fun. You guys were great to talk to. Well, even Steven.
Well, honestly, I thought when Steven stepped into the room, you had this like glow. You had this like pre-ovulation glow all over your face.
It happens, man.
It just changed the whole mood in the room. Like I think me and Junior could have left and you guys could just went on for hours.
We're actually gonna call on the phone after this. We usually talk till about 3 a.m.
Nice.
Most nights.
Me and Junior don't do that as much anymore, but we used to.
Yeah, when you used to do your like cross country, trips to these expos, you'd call me at like 2 a.m. because I'd be like one of the few people, one of your friends that's up like real late.
You're always up, man. All right. Well, shit, Junior, you brought us in. You want to take us out? Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for joining. That's Logan. Follow him on Instagram. It's the bearded bug guy, right?
Yep.
He's follow him. You got Steven Cush. He has his own segment, on the Trap Talk Network. Big cooler bid guy, venomous, pretty much all kinds of species. Then my, co-host Dave, good friend. Ball pythons, boas, funny, quirky stuff, everything. And come see us at shows. Actually, Logan and I are both going to be at Hillsborough next weekend. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest area, come out to the expo. It's actually a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's people there with, different species reptiles. You have somebody usually brings a toucan or like capybara. There's somebody there with like petrified wood from like Central Oregon or Washington.
Last time they had a tattoo booth.
They had a tattoo booth?
Yep.
Were they giving actual tattoos?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's somebody there selling pelts. There's all kinds of cool knickknacks and collectibles there too, not just reptiles. So it's a cool show. You can get a tattoo. Maybe this one, I don't know. I don't remember. Sometimes I don't get to walk around these shows. So come get a tattoo and support US Arc and buy a beaded lizard because you can own them there or something else. So thanks, guys. Good. Basically, we're going to end it here. Let me end stream. Bye, everybody.